right, welcome back to WRPL, the podcast where we talk about all the things we are watching, reading, playing, and listening to. My name is Ben.
And I'm Steve.
How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing well, Ben. How are you?
I'm good. Excellent episode tonight. Well, here's hoping. Not a lot of topics, but topics I have things I want to talk about.
Great.
So we are going to be talking about 65, Scream 6, The Last of Us finale. You got a little something?
I got two things to bring up real quick.
Okay, yeah, I probably could bring up something. So we need to roll. We got to fake it this time, people. I'm very sorry. It's inauthentic, but we are not in our usual location. I do not have die here. So do you want to click so it's only fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
I gotta click it.
All right, here for authentic sound. Go ahead and roll. 16. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, 10.
10. Okay.
All
Yeah. Above average. That's fine. That's fine. We could deal with that. Not happy about it. All right. Well, spoilers for everything. Actually, hold on. I may have a topic. Hold on. I think I had a note. Give me a
Yeah,
second.
let's do our other random topics before we get into the main stuff.
Okay. Well, the first thing, something that we were talking about at the end of last episode, the TMNT trailer, Mutant Mayhem, whatever it's
Yeah.
called. Trailer came out last week. What'd you think?
Definitely the Spider-Verse movies have.
Yeah, you were right on that. It is definitely everything in Spider-Verse now.
Yeah, as
Disney's gonna
it's
be-
changed the game.
They are going to fall behind, and no one's going to give a shit about that Disney Pixar look or anything. It's all about Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I mean, I like the look. I enjoyed it enough. I need to see more. I'm surprised that they really are leaning into the teenage aspect of it in terms of like
hearing
they
those
sound
voices is so
young. Yeah.
weird.
Like the Turtles have always felt 18, 19, I guess. So it's like, yeah, they're like kind of party dudes, but they were always in very serious situations where this is like, oh no, these are children who I guess know Kung Fu.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see what comes of this because we don't really hear any other voice of like the major celebrities.
No.
It's just all.
But you know how they're going to sound.
Oh yeah, I mean they're going to sound like themselves. I just
Hannibal Buress isn't changing his voice for
we get
anyone.
some glimpses of like Bebop and Rocksteady, but we don't really see much of anything other than April and them, which is fine. It's a teaser.
It's a teaser.
I don't want anything really spoiled for me, but just from the initial look of it and the vibe it's putting out, I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I think it looks cool. The designs are kind of just a nice mashing of very familiar looks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not reinventing it, but everything looks good, sounds good. I'm optimistic as well.
Yep.
So cool. All right. Well, what's a thing you got?
So I watched something that you watched a long time ago, then I forgot that you watched.
Oh yeah.
But I've watched Cyberpunk 20 or
Edgerunners.
Edgerunners, yes. Sorry, not the video game.
The Netflix anime.
Yeah. This wasn't really on, like I knew it existed and I heard it was good, but I didn't really care about it. It was like on my to watch list, but on that queue thing where it's like, yeah, I'll get to it, but you're never going to
get to it.
And our buddy Nick texted me and said he started and he liked it, and I just kind of like, yeah, I'll get to it. But then I got home, I didn't really have anything to watch, so I was just like, I'll just put on one episode. And then I watched, I think, 3 in one sitting, and the next day I watched another 3, and the next day I just finished the show or whatever it was. So I finished it in 3 days. It's good.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as good as Arcane.
No.
Arcane is way, I think, more interesting characters and like story. But it really surprised me in the fact that this is, I think, one of the first like animes that I watched where it was like it was geared for adults. There was, it's only 10 episodes, I think it is, and there's no filler. It's just a straight story.
Yeah.
You get the whole thing, and it's all there. There's no plans for season 2 currently. It's just one complete story, and that might be everything we ever see from the Cyberpunk universe, other than maybe future games. Who knows? And I just had a really good time. It's beautifully animated. I don't know if you can really call like it's cinematography, but there's some like really gorgeous shots in this show.
Sure, it's cinematography.
The only thing I not disliked, because it added a very unique look, but it was the only thing that was like, this is absurd in this world, is his the Sandevistan is what they call it, his spinal implant.
Oh, that could
that
make him Quicksilver.
Yeah, that it gave him like super speed.
Yeah.
And not like super speed like, oh, he's a human who can run 70 miles an hour. No,
Uh-huh.
he's a human who can move in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
It's like,
Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but
it's like, okay, you have this thing that like pushes adrenaline through like each portion of your body. It's like, I can, like, if you want to make him like stronger and faster than normal humans, like, that's fine. I get
Yeah.
like, there's technology for that. But like every other thing in the show, anything that any other person has, like, makes logical sense as to its ability.
Yeah.
And this thing does it. It's such like an anime thing that's like, it's kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, looks cool, gives you some really cool action sequences. Like, I'm glad it's in there, I guess. But it's just weird. It's like, oh, well, if you want to like have good stamina, here's cybernetic lungs. Oh, you want legs that never tire? Here's robotic legs. You want hands that can like type really fast, or you have eyes that like can take calls and hack into like, all that makes sense to me. But this spine implant makes zero sense.
Yeah.
And the other thing I did love is like the final episode bad guy that just kind of comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then just is just there to sort of like be a final boss fight.
Yeah.
But like you have no emotional or story connection to this guy really, other than like he's the guy like nobody can be. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get into it for people who haven't seen it. But anyway, point of the story is it surprised me. I really enjoyed it. I would love to see more, but if they never make more, I won't be upset, because like I said, it is a complete story with characters I enjoyed. And yeah, I just I'm happy.
I got to give it up to Netflix because of the 3 anime adaptations that they've done. You know, I'm going to just count Arcane as an anime adaptation. Whatever. It's not.
Sure.
It's not typical.
Right.
But also with Castlevania and Cyberpunk, they're all just like so excellent. And I know they've cut back on their animation departments. It's more expensive to do that shit.
Sure.
But this is where you could have really shined, Netflix. Just be the person who's willing to adapt those video games that no one else will, because it's going to be too expensive. You can't do it in live action, yada, yada. And just give us some really good, give us some really good cartoons based on these things. And you would have this little niche market on all the streaming. But nah.
Yeah, you know, we talked about it on previous podcasts, but it's so interesting that people were saying like, "Oh, The Last of Us is the show that breaks the video game curse." Like, no, like there's been multiple shows that have done really, really good stuff. Like Cyberpunk has nothing to do per se with the game, I believe, other than like the setting. But yeah, I mean that.
Arcane doesn't have really a whole lot to do with its game.
Sure, but I mean, you take the lore and you build a story with the game.
Last of Us is like the best at absolutely duplicating.
Yes.
You know, that they are not really adapting it very much. They are just reshooting it for the most part.
Yeah.
So even though I love everything Last of Us has done, you know, should it get that credit? Because it's easy to copy something that is already so cinematic and already well written. It's taking something like Arcane that is a fucking mobile game, you know, with no real lore, just cool character designs, and creating a whole world out of it and really interesting characters. Yeah, they're very different groundbreaking achievements for both of them, I'd say.
Yeah, I think the past year or two has definitely shown that video games, I think, will be the future of like television and movies coming up.
Absolutely.
And their adaptations, because now that we've done it successfully multiple times,
and Mario's about to become the biggest movie of the year.
It's gonna make buku bucks.
God, Nintendo is already so rich. They do not need all this extra, because they're gonna, once this hits, the floodgates are open. And everything's going to get adapted. And when now that people are sick of superheroes and comic book adaptations, well, now we're moving into our video game era. And the new MCU is going to be the Nintendo universe. And it's just, it's gonna make them so much goddamn money.
Yeah, I would love to go back in time because Nintendo has been a company since like 18
Longer. It's
or
like they've been around. They were a card company, a card game company. I mean, okay, like 1877 or something like
yeah,
that.
but they're like
It's
over 100
crazy,
years.
crazy long.
And just go like, hey, your ancestors like 20 years ago were samurai. Guess what? We made Mario. What the fuck is
What's
Mario?
a Mario? Don't
It's
worry.
me. I don't know, but
But that's a big
crazy.
recommendation for Cyberpunk from
Yeah.
you. I only got something real quick. In my search for endless trash, I love looking at stupid titles. There was one called Blood Glacier, and it is a foreign film, and it was dubbed. I didn't realize it, but it's just like another retelling of The Thing. This glacier is dripping blood. There's something living in it, and it's mutating people and making crazy monsters, and it's infecting people. It's really simple, really cheap, but it has some pretty fun effects and some good blood. I'd recommend it.
Now is it like one giant glacier where it's like a waterfall of blood, or is it
No,
just
it's
like
frozen.
it's no, never mind.
Yeah, I mean it's just a chunk of ice that's like up against the rock,
Right.
and it's just all
I guess
red.
I was asking like, is there just a tiny bit of blood? Or
No,
is
it's
it like a
completely covered in
huge-
blood. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got
Yeah.
it. Got it. Got it.
But the other thing I want to talk, I don't even know if I really want to talk about, but the other thing I watched is a movie called #Float. Now, if you look in
Did you tell me about
IMDb,
another movie recently called hashtag something?
no, I told you I saw this, but I would save it for the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, I'm going through the hashtag universe. Any movie that starts with a hashtag, I'm watching it. I'm sure there's at least 5 more. There's got to be hashtag death or anywho.
Yeah.
So in America on IMDb, it's just called Float, even though on Tubi it's called #Float. In other countries it's called #Float, but whatever.
No, the symbol and then floater.
It's the symbol.
Okay.
And then the word float. So it's just about a story of friends who they go to this cabin every year and they do the local float. And it's a river that's only like 2 feet deep. You sit in an inner tube and just drink beer all day and go down, it's like a big lazy river in nature.
Fun.
Yeah, seems fun. 1 year, their buddy died. He overdosed on drugs, fell into the river, and died. And they're worried if they should be going back. And they get warned by a spooky old local, just kind of, you're doomed, you're all doomed. Just saying, don't go on the river. It took your friend, and it will take you. And so they're like, hey, fucking weirdo, get out of here. And our lead she's trying to create a social media presence for herself. Everyone's kind of moving on with their life and getting their doctorate and doing so much, and everyone's kind of looking at her like, you're throwing this all away just to be Instagram famous. That seems kind of stupid. She's trying her hardest and it's doing okay. She's not making money off of it yet, but her boyfriend's like talking shit, her best friend's talking shit. It's pretty kind of, they're like brutally honest with her, and they're in the right to a degree, and she does seem kind of selfish about it. Like, I want to be famous, I want to get free stuff, I want the clout, I want the blue check mark, and she's all about that. But she doesn't come off as this vapid, horrible person. Like, you do kind of root for her trying to follow
It's
her
just a dream she has, and she's following it.
Yeah. So they have other friends there, and like there's a couple that have a kid and they had to bring the kid, and they're that couple that, oh my god, why did they ever get together? They're terrible. And a whole cast of kooky characters. And then when the little kid runs off and they go chasing after her, the little kid's dad gets impaled by a stick, like someone threw it like a spear, and then the mom's in shock and she's sitting in an inner tube and just gets like sucked under, and they're searching for her, but it's only 2 feet deep. How could you not find her? And then like there's blood there, but they can't find the body. And that creepy old guy is, he kidnapped the little girl, but just to keep her safe because the river's evil. And so people are getting picked off kind of one by one. Some seem supernatural, some think like it's something in the woods. And when the hermit guy captures another woman, like the best friend, she gets locked up with the kid. And so the main social media girl is finding him, and it turns out like the hermit guy is actually a good dude. He's not gonna do anything fucked up. Yeah, he locked him in a cage and it seems all creepy, but he was actually trying to keep him safe. But they come out and like bash his head in and murder him anyways.
Jesus Christ.
But the thing about this movie, it's pretty good and it's well written for like the characters. You really believe their friendship and all the struggles they're going through, and it's only 75 minutes long, and they get a lot of information out. I think it's pretty well made. It's just a cheap horror movie, and they can't decide. Is it a monster in the water? Is it a spirit that lives in the water? Is there something living in the woods? Like they don't tell you exactly what is killing him, because there's at one point the woman runs out and you see a shadow through the tent and it like bites her arm off, but then in other times it seems like it's just like the water is attacking him. You never actually see a physical monster, but it kind of alludes to that there might be. I don't know, it's a little messy,
Right.
and it just ends with, since she's been recording all these incidents and like her friend getting sucked in under the inner tube and all these crazy things, she's capturing it on social media and she's getting like a ton of likes. So now she's gonna make it. You know, she's gonna get that Instagram famous, but all of her friends have been killed for it. So it's a little messy with its message, but I enjoyed it for a Tubi movie that's only 75 minutes long. I thought it was pretty good.
All right.
Yeah. You got one more thing?
Yeah. So I forgot that this was happening this week. And I don't know if I've mentioned on the podcast, but I'm a big fan of musical theater. And
Mentioned a few times.
I finally saw the Book of Mormon yesterday. Yeah. I've been wanting to see this since 2011, since it came out and won Best Musical at the Tony Awards. You and I are huge Trey Parker, Matt Stone fans, who famously created South Park and lots of other things that we've enjoyed over the years.
Pretty much enjoyed everything they've done.
Just huge fans of their comedy, but I never got around to seeing the show because it was on Broadway for a while, but tickets were like $300. Like it was,
impossible.
Yeah, it was. Well, not impossible, but like more money than I wanted to spend.
Yeah,
for
normies like us
for 2 hours. Yeah. But they're doing a national tour now, and it came to our area, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it lived up to the hype of, like, I think I saw Spamalot, and I saw Spamalot when I was like, I don't know, 18, 19, 20, whatever year it was, and I'm a huge fan of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, but it was something I didn't expect. I just remember laughing through that whole show. Mm-hmm. Where this, I don't know if like I would have liked it more had I seen the original cast on Broadway, or if it was the crowd I was with. But there was just like quite a few times where certain jokes didn't land all that well, or because of the African accents or sound issues, like I couldn't quite, or people talking over each other. It's like I couldn't understand, like, wait, what did they say? Did I miss the joke?
Okay.
There was just some, like, I think minor things. The main lead, who was originally played by Andrew Rannells, you know who that is, right? Yeah. Okay. He had a big number and his like voice cracked and like at this like big note, and I was like, ooh, like he had a lovely singing voice, but there was certain moments in the show where it's just like, oh, I'm not a voice expert by any means. But I was like, I don't know.
Your ear knows.
Yeah. Your ear knows. But I was like, I don't know if he like hit all of those marks as good as he should have. And then obviously like the big scene stealer of the show was his cohort, who's this like goofy chubby guy who was originally played by Josh Gad on the Broadway show. Mm-hmm. And he's doing a very great Josh Gad impression. Like sounds just like really sounded like Olaf from Frozen. The first half hour of the show, I was like, I don't think I can take this guy for the entire show, because he's like kind of moving like he's
like Chris Farley or
Chris
something?
Farley bit.
Okay.
He's like almost like practically
doing
pulling
down by the river
the river kind of thing.
Okay.
He's like, or like moving like him and Igor from Frankenstein like put together, but he's like, his voice is very high pitched. But then as the show went on, he was the most hilarious one. Like a lot of stuff he said was really funny, like him trying to like his sudden voice change is like, "Hey, baby, what's up?" when he's talking to like a pretty African girl.
Mm-hmm.
The African cast were all great, and like I just want to tell you about like all the stuff I saw, but I guess I don't want to spoil too
Yeah,
much.
please
But
don't, because I only know very few songs from it. I've always wanted to just be surprised,
yeah,
so I haven't really listened.
well, I hope they make a movie of this one day, and I'm surprised that they haven't like really
Yeah.
gotten around to it at this point.
Yeah, because you think you would want the original ones, but they're a bit old now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't need to see the original, but it's just like as huge as this play or musical was, and won all these awards, and
Yeah, maybe they're just really milking it.
yeah,
You
and
know?
I know like once the show came out, they were already asking like, so when's the movie happen? And they're just like, if we do a movie, it's not going to be for like at least 10 years. It's like
Mhm.
we're gonna whatever, let the show stand on its own
Yeah.
as is, I
Yeah.
guess.
And
which
then
is
you
fine.
could always come back and revisit and see what you could change.
Yeah. But I'd love to see it be like directed by
Yeah.
Trey Parker and all that. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to tell you about everything, but I really enjoyed it. Some really enjoyable songs. The definitely the South Park humor and like they make references to Lord of the Rings 3 separate times, and there's one character who's like gay, but like keeps trying to like push those things away because he's Mormon and it's not allowed. But but he mentions he thought he had feelings for this guy. Guess what his name was?
I have no idea.
Steve.
Oh, God, I should have. Yes.
So,
It's always Steve.
yeah, just like, oh, Steve and I was like, I turned to my wife. I was like, see, I told you, I'm in everything.
Once you made her aware of the whole Steviness of the world, has she just seen it everywhere now?
Oh, of course. Well, like usually we watch stuff together. So as soon as like some random person says, "Oh yeah, Steve in accounting," I look over, or she looks over at me, and she's like, "Yeah, babe, I see it now."
Yeah. If you're not tuned to it, you don't notice, but Steve is everywhere.
But yeah, I guess I won't spoil it for you, but
okay,
it's good stuff.
Good, thank you. So let's get to our three main topics, really. Do you want to do Last of Us, then 65, then Scream, or do you want to do 65 first?
Let's do 65 first.
Let's if you can't, we're trying to get this out of the way. 65, the movie with Adam Driver fighting dinosaurs. It's the thing we asked for. The movie where you do something with dinosaurs that's not a Jurassic something.
Yeah.
Anything. And they gave us the lowest effort version of give us something with dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm.
And they just put a spaceman on the planet and he shot at dinosaurs. And then he yelled at a little girl and used his hands a lot to try to communicate. And that was about it. Like, how dare they put money and effort into a new dinosaur movie and not give us, like, any good dinosaur stuff? I'm shocked at how uninteresting this movie is.
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw, like, the thumbnail and the trailer of just, like, 65, I was like, ooh, I wonder what that is. Mm-hmm. Just from, like, the title and just the look of it, I was like, this looks like it's going to suck. I'm not even going to watch this trailer. And then eventually I saw the trailer. I was like, oh, this looks like it could be cool. And then you and I were pretty excited about it.
Oh, yeah.
And then we go in and watch this movie together. And it was not great.
Yeah.
Like,
I would even be fine with stupid or like dumb but fun, sloppy. I could, but boring? It's a whole lot of nothing.
And I mean, it's got Adam Driver in it, who I think you and I both like in a lot of stuff. And the marketing for this was like crazy. I saw this everywhere. Like, it just seemed like they were really trying to make this a thing.
Which is so confusing because they had to have known this isn't anything when they screened it.
Yeah.
So
there's no franchise here.
There's no franchise, and it's not based on anything. And this is a thing I almost kind of fear, that because it's not a franchise thing, it's not based on anything, and it will not be considered done. It won't be considered good. Studios will now go, well, see, it's not based on a comic book. Why are we making these original things? People don't want to see that. And it's like, no, but that's not it. We want to see it, but give us some more humans to get eaten, or give us some dinosaurs getting their heads blown off. But we don't get anything. We just get long walks through the forest.
Yeah, I mean, Adam Driver's whole character arc, it's like they're trying to like do The Last of Us. I
Sure.
mean,
How would they
which is not
know?
fair.
Yeah,
That's not a fair comparison. But it's here's a father figure who essentially lost a daughter who is in charge of taking care of this other young girl,
mm-hmm.
and through her eyes, sort of like make him want to stay alive at least long enough to like save her. I got to save this little girl
Mm-hmm.
from these creatures that are out there. And we get like a T-Rex thing, but we don't really get any other and that's the other thing, like there's dinosaurs in here, but none of them are really like recognizable. They're like
Well, they're
raptor adjacent but not
yes.
raptors, and there's T-Rexes, but they're don't look like any T-Rex we've ever seen.
Well,
It's like
if you think about it,
okay.
because the end of the movie is the end of the dinosaurs, so you could only use the dinosaurs that were around at that time. Like, there's more distance between the Stegosaurus and the T Rex than the T Rex to us. Like, there's so
Fair
many
enough.
dinosaurs
I'm
that
not
just
saying
never existed
right.
together, so we're kind of stuck with this. But what they pick through is just like one type, a big and a small one, a kind of a T Rex, and a flying thing, and that's it.
Yeah, fair. And like, I guess my thing is, I have done no research into like the accuracy as to which these dinosaurs they chose. Like, are they all from? Because you could have done a movie thing where it's like none of these things existed at the same time, and
Sure.
I wouldn't have known.
No, no,
Or
nobody
like
would.
maybe they did the research and was like, well, that's why we chose these because they were all
No,
there at that time.
no, they
But it's just
yeah,
like it just like I think the raptor adjacent one, the ones that ran on all fours, like the black ones,
yeah,
those things were kind of scary.
yeah. They were like kimono dragons with longer legs.
Yeah, accurate.
Yeah,
Um, but it just I wish I cared about the little girl, but it's like it's hard to
no,
care about a little kid when they're not really doing dialogue.
yeah. When you
And
can't
she's
don't.
just and half of her dialogue, if not more than half, was just her repeating what he said.
Yes. Once he
And
yelled loud enough at her, and she understood a word.
yeah, um, but I didn't really care about her because of that, and I didn't really care about Adam Driver
Hmm.
because it's like, yeah, he's a good dude because he's taking care of this kid, but it's like his daughter already died,
Yeah, which they don't tell us at
which
the
they don't tell us
beginning.
until like near the
They
end.
make you believe that he's just on the mission that he needed to
Yeah,
take to give her.
which also was my question was this a separate mission? It's like this is a mission that he takes after his daughter dies, or this
Yes,
is the mission that he's on, and then those videos that he sends her,
our transmissions
yeah,
and
kind of like a interstellar kind of thing, and she died while he's on this mission currently.
no, I feel like we would have gotten a little more emotional bits if he found out she died, during this mission. I think whatever he had to do failed. She died. His life fell apart. And now he is taking this mission just because he has nothing else.
Mm.
That's how I got it.
Right.
But they're so unclear because you think he's on the mission, and then you find out that she did die. And which is a weird thing because he knows his daughter is dead, and he instantly like dislikes this new girl who's in trouble. Like he's not mean to her, but he seems so standoffish to do anything. Like he was more willing to just like blow his head off right from the get-go. But he's willing to like make the journey to find her pod to rescue her, but as soon as he does, he almost seems like he regretted it. He comes around relatively quickly, but I just think direction for the actors was a bit off. And maybe
Mm.
this is because it's kind of cut up in editing. I feel like it just feels like a movie full of studio notes and like, no, you can't do that, so cut that. Okay, well, let's rearrange this. Well, now this doesn't make sense. Well, then we got to cut that out. And so what you're left with were uh, takes that maybe don't work with the rest of it because we're
Mm.
missing stuff. It just felt and since I can see the directors just kind of being yes men to the studio.
Sure.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity to do this thing, but then they butcher the whole thing in editing.
Yeah, because I mean, also you have uh, like there's no reason for her not to
Not
speak
to.
English,
No.
and typically when you have that kind of thing, there's comedy to be had there. There's like, oh, they misunderstood this thing. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, hey, can you take this goop and put it over there? And then it's like, oh, well, she pours it all over herself. You weren't supposed to do that.
Yeah. Throw
Oh.
me the gun, and she throws a stick, and it's
Yeah,
like,
it's like, oh yeah, that one was better. But this like, there's no like real charm between
no,
them, or like there's no funny bits. And I know it's like it's a relatively short movie, so it's just kind of like keeping pace. But it's like all the action sequences weren't that exciting. I
no.
think the final act sequence was decent.
It was fine because it was a creative thing.
Yeah.
Oh, my gun's not working. Let me use the environment to defeat my enemy. That's a fun thing. Whereas, oh, I got to get away from this dinosaur. Let me hide in this log and then use up all my bombs to kill this one thing. It like so uncreative.
I don't know, and that seems like such like a kid would do that because they're just so scared. So I'm just going to dump all of them.
Yeah.
I get it, but as like a person, I'm just like, wow, you only needed one to blow that thing up.
Yeah.
But you used 15.
And she stomped on it so on the end so easily to like seal it.
Yeah.
Just stomp in the middle. I bet you'll crush the thing. Save your bombs.
But that's just a nitpick. That's fine. Whatever. And it did that thing where it's just like you see these creatures like brutally murder thing after thing after thing, and they're dinosaurs. They're killing machines.
Yeah.
They're animals.
That's what we want to see is dinosaurs eating things.
And then we have whenever the dinosaurs attack them, all they do is just like slowly walk towards them because they're like, oh, this human I'm about to eat isn't gonna do anything.
Yeah.
And it just takes forever. It's
I'm
like,
gonna play coy.
yeah, it's just like no, like just kill them. Just eat these humans. And I know it's a movie thing, but once again, it's just like, why do they always stalk so long so then the other person who's not in this shot right now can like shoot him in the head or whatever?
It's like they have to mimic. Oh, you're backing up slowly? Well, I'm advancing slowly. Oh, you're running away quickly? Well, I'm running after you quickly.
It's
monkey
like,
see, monkey do.
I felt like I was watching Quantum Mania again, where it's just like, all right, you two inept guards, you take them away, and then the hero punches them and like steals their guns,
which
or like
got
uses the technology that they didn't confiscate.
Yeah,
it's just like Jesus Christ.
Yeah. We got one of those in Last of Us, and now it's like I hate watching anybody get taken away by guards because it's always the same thing of just I'm gonna throw my elbow back, get one, shoot the other one with its gun. I'm so tired of it.
Yeah,
but we'll get to that later. But yeah, it's almost like they were trying to do a Logan, and let's put cool ass Wolverine helping a little girl that maybe he has a problem with, which is fine, but Laura's fun. She's killing people. She's got blades and she's doing her own thing and she's like giving sass back to him. It's a really good dynamic. This is just, she's nothing of a character. She's from a different tribe. We don't know anything about her people.
And I want to get back to that too. So these are two human-like characters.
Yep.
But they come from another planet.
Yes. These are not Earthlings.
These are not.
We
Earthlings.
are on Earth though.
Yes. Which I thought was kind of weird. It's just like, and I'm fine with there being another planet of people that look like us. It's Superman. But at the same time, it's like, could you give them like pointy ears? Or
that's adding time for the being in the makeup chair, and they don't have time for that.
I get it.
You just take a little piece of paint and put a like little soul patch under their lip, and boom, they're a new race. Yeah, it's
just I don't know. It just seemed it's like, and that's why I thought like, oh well, they're from the future, but they go through a wormhole and they go back in
their
time,
own past,
or they're the first humans to sort of like their DNA gets somehow like. Yeah, uploaded into the ship that gets discovered by ancient simians, and
they all get sprayed in the face.
They get sprayed in the face, and that's how humans evolved fast, or whatever.
Yeah. Their ship lands with a colony of people. The Ice Age is coming. They all hunker down. They live in the ship for years, and they're the ones that seed the planet. They eventually have to open the doors and go out into the world and populate it. Something, but it's nothing.
There's none of
that.
It's just like, oh no,
invasion.
they're just aliens.
Yeah, who happen to show up on Extinction Day.
Yeah,
they don't cause the extinction because they do get hit by like the asteroid belt, but
I assume they ran into like an ancient Milky Way galaxy. Is that the one with the
where the Milky Way galaxy?
Well, yeah. Oh no, what's the
asteroid belt? It's just
it doesn't have a name though.
It's just the asteroid belt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they just hit our asteroid belt
I
and
guess
then
so.
gets them on Earth.
Yeah, but they're like, oh, an uncharted asteroid belt. Our asteroid belt's been there for a while. I mean, I don't know, about 65 million years ago. I don't know what the solar system looked like, but was the rest of this charted? Did they know this planet existed and they're just passing by? We don't even know what the mission was. Where is he taking these people?
Yeah, and that's the part that really kind of blew my mind because like there was no reason for the ship to like go off course. Like if it was hit by an asteroid while he was in cryo sleep, something happened where it's like, oh, we've been going the wrong direction for like 6 months, and now we're in this galaxy that we did. But it's like
Somehow
this
they got
was on the
slingshotted
way to the place where they were
wherever
going.
they were going.
And it's just like, and
And they
is
don't
this the
know.
first time they've passed this planet? Was
Yeah.
and it's like if he was on a Star Trek thing where it's like, oh, my mission is to like travel a galaxy and discover, not necessarily
New
land on the
life.
planet,
Yeah,
but just
but
like, oh, I passed this
catego-
planet. Oh, I'm gonna
catalog it.
catalog it, and then other people will come to the planet and like, see
He's
what's
a scout
up.
team.
Yeah, a scout team, exactly. But it's just like, no, he's delivering
People,
cargo
not prisoners. Who
somewhere.
knows? Yeah,
For some reason.
for something. It's
And-
like, yeah, so they're on their own planet. Do they live on other planets? Where are they going? To the mining belt? To, like, we don't know
Is
enough
he,
of...
is he a human trafficker? Is he really
Yeah,
not that good of a guy?
yeah, is this a good
that
thing
why he
he's
took the
doing?
job? It's like, I'm taking this job. It's awful because I'm selling these humans to a slave planet, but it'll pay for my daughter's operation. Because that could be a cool dynamic
Sure.
or anything.
Yeah.
But you don't know who this character is other than he's a dad.
Yep.
And it's just not enough. There's no character here. There's no real story here. It's just like, ooh, it's Dinosaur Planet.
Yeah.
And it's like, cool, I guess.
Cool, I
It's like,
guess.
oh, the ticking clock of the asteroid's coming. But it doesn't amount to anything because,
Yeah.
like, them being there, like you said, it didn't bring this asteroid. It didn't cause the dinosaurs to become extinct. It doesn't have any lasting effects on our history or, like, you could have just made a planet where they fought dinosaur-like creatures.
Yeah.
And it would have been the same movie.
It would have been the same thing. It really feels like this movie needed to be marketed that way of, we landed on a planet and who knows what's here, what kind of crazy things will we find, and then you don't call it 65 because that's too obvious, for alluding to our own past, and then that's the twist in some way that we realize, oh, we're not on an alien planet. This is Earth, and either we cause its destruction, we seed it, we do something to it. That's the Goosebumps level sort of gotcha moment.
Yeah, I was hoping that there was a final twist of like they're walking through the forest and then they see the Statue of Liberty and it's 65 million years in the future.
Yeah, like
and it's like, oh,
Time
the
cyclical.
dinosaurs have come back again.
Flat circle.
Or, I don't
Something.
know. I would have liked that more than the movie we got, even if it's just like, they just ripped off Planet of the Apes. Just anything.
Something. And the most minimum thing I think you needed is 3 more pods survive. It's her parents and, some asshole. And they each get eaten by dinosaurs one by one in horrible, tragic ways. And now he's forced to take care of this girl. And maybe make her like really shitty. It's a rich family that's being transported to this thing. And she's been this annoying little turd the whole trip. And he has to bond with her. She has to grow up. She has to face the fact that her parents are dead. And then they get off the ship. Just that's the least amount you need to do. Give her a little more character and give us some people to be eaten. We can go bigger and do things with wormholes and time travel and them causing the destruction, or there's so much you can do. But, this is a smaller budget, for a kind of a bigger concept of dinosaurs. This is a smaller budget movie, and I understand, like, this is the little version. This could have been blown up just a little bit more to make it more entertaining. But it's a shame because you go even bigger than that. And there's like 7, 8 really fun ideas. This could have been the beginning of Dino Riders. This could have been something really cool and interesting like that.
Yeah, or like, I never played the game, but this could have been a Turok movie.
Sure, something.
Anything.
But it's a whole lot of nothing, and it's the biggest disappointment of the year so far. It's really a shame.
Yeah, I still am holding out hope for some good dino movies in the future, but this was This was a step backwards.
This is not it now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's better like killer Bigfoot movies and killer sharks and killer monster movies out there. You have like the coolest killer monster, dinosaurs, and you don't do anything cool. I will say I did like the look of them. Some of them were a little feathered, you know, they had the little spiny things, but they were like black tar almost at times. Like the ones that are on all fours, they just, it was not scales like you're used to, and they didn't go overly feathery. They are really almost kind of salamandery when it came to their texture. So I think the look was pretty good, and the effects I think are pretty good for the most part.
Sure, yeah, I have no issue with the effects. I thought they fit properly.
Yeah. And no cool tech. We got a gun and some bombs. Everything else was like, oh, my translator's broken, my this is broken. My really cool lightsaber in the back to kill dinosaurs with is broken. Can't use that. And the gun, I like the look, but I felt like it was going to have multiple functions, you know?
But I guess it was like more of a pulse gun.
Yeah, it like shot little tasers, something.
I mean, he was shooting things in the head, and they were
they were done.
You know, but it was cool that it was like rechargeable.
Yeah,
like it ran out of ammo, but you just had to like
put your thumb on
like
it,
a super soaker or something, like, whatever it was. But yeah,
we needed something where like he had a hologram going and it would distract a dinosaur so then they could capture it. I think when they landed, they should have been there a little longer. You know, it wasn't him trying to kill himself the next day and him having 2 more days until the end of the world. If they had to be there for a year or two and they tried to adapt and maybe not tame, but like use some of these as cattle, it would have been kind of fun to see how do these spacemen survive on our planet.
Like that one that they pulled out of the black tar, like kind of
becomes the
like,
pet.
All right, get out of here, and he just like starts following them, and then, you know, he's just like, oh man, I'm gonna have to kill this thing, and he like points the gun, and that would be a funny thing. And the kid's like, no, and he pets it, and it just becomes like their dog. You know, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it's just,
and it keeps the bigger dinosaurs away.
Yeah, and now it's kind of like a pet bull.
Yeah, sure. Fun. And them trying to do agriculture and stuff, and even that's a more interesting story.
Yeah, give me Adam Driver becoming a farmer in Dinosaur World.
Hell yeah.
I don't think it would be sustainable because I think just animals would find out that they're there and
try
and kill them every day.
You know, their ship could have been a little bit bigger, could have, you know, because the ship was so big, we're able to farm within our ship and we don't have to necessarily be outside being attacked by dinosaurs. You know, have some of the colonists who are afraid to even leave the ship because we got our food replicator and our water replicator. We're good here. We don't have to go out. I'm like, well, we've been here inside for 6 months. It's time to, you know, see what else this world has to offer.
You know, I'm also curious to like why Adam Driver signed up for this project. Not because it was like too good or the money or whatever. It's just like, if I was him and I read that script, I'm like, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm getting like I'm getting put through the ringer in this movie because it's like he's falling into like swamp pits and getting covered in goop. He squashes a bug and it's just like covers his hand. And he's wiping himself with mud. Like he's getting beat up and covered in like shit the entire movie. And if I was him, I'd just be so annoyed. It just seems like I'm just doing a bunch of action stuff, and then as I'm doing this action stuff, I'm getting covered in stuff I don't want to be covered in, and that's my story arc. Every day on set, I'm getting covered with dog shit and getting beat up by digital green things.
That's the balance. It's okay. Do you want me to tumble down hills and get dirty and fucked up and disgusting, or do you want me to act? Because you're gonna have to pick one. Like, okay, you get dirty, and we'll just cut out as many lines as humanly possible. We'll only put the most important ones in. Like, okay, deal.
Yeah.
Because if you have to also act and deal with all that stuff, who's signing up for that?
And another thing, so they leave the planet.
Yeah, with seconds to spare.
With seconds to spare. Do they not mention that planet again, ever? Because it's like, do they assume that the planet's destroyed, or do they just like, well, we can't go back there because there's all those creatures? It's like, I'm just curious. It's like, now that they know that the planet's there, there's an alien race that knows Earth exists, and I guess it's 65 million years later, so it doesn't really matter. It's just like, it just seems like one of those things like, well, what do they do with this information? To like, we know this thing exists now. I have charted this. Assuming I have charted this planet.
Yeah, because the rescue ship was coming, and they were meeting up with the rescue ship, so
Is-
they would be able to. I think they would just see, hey, oh, that planet got destroyed. That sucks. That's going to be unlivable for years. We'll mark it down, and we'll find another route to
yeah,
wherever
I guess
the fuck we're going.
because like this race could have gone to war like Dune style
Yeah.
or something, and then it's like, well, that race of whatever Driver and his people are, they're all dead now. So and now no one knows of the existence of this planet.
Who knows?
It's fine. It's not
Who
important
knows?
now that I'm saying it out loud.
Yeah.
But still, it's just weird. That's like, oh well, aliens have been to Earth. They know it's there, but they never came back because one guy said, "Big scary,
Big scary
biteies
Yeah.
are there."
No, I'm sure it was more of a, oh, that planet got fucked. Well, let's just go home. And everybody ignore it. We're going to erase it from the logs. It looked like we may have accidentally done that, and we don't want to get blamed. So, yeah, the Galactic Council is going to be real pissed at this one. All right, anything else for 65, or shall we move on to The Last of Us?
We can move on to Last of Us, but what would you give a grade to for 65?
65, I gave a D. Yeah, doesn't do a whole lot.
I'm gonna say D plus.
I thought about giving it a plus, and I would say maybe the plus is the effects are pretty good, so that would deserve the plus. But yeah, it's pretty boring.
I would say the plus is I think it's mostly unoffensive in terms of just like anyone can really watch it.
Sure.
And you wouldn't go like, that's the worst thing I've seen. But I don't think anyone watched that goes like, damn, man, that was good.
Yeah, I think
that's why it gets a D. It's like no one thinks it's going to be good, or no. I think most people who watch it are going to be like, "This is not good," but no one's going to be like, "Well, whatever."
I can see it being like a kid's favorite. You know, you saw it when you were 6, and it was just really scary. Yeah, and I'm sure some people saw like, what was that, 10,000 BC when they were a kid, and then they're like, that was a pretty cool fucking movie. That gets slept on, man. People should really appreciate 10,000 BC. It's pretty bad. But yeah, our buddy Nick was saying is very much like After Earth, and I see that. Has the same vibes.
Okay, fair enough.
Got to get to a destination with big scary monsters. I mean, that's pretty vague anyways, but
I thought the effects in After Earth were solid.
Yeah. It's another one of those, feels like they adapted a video game and they didn't really have much to do except for the gameplay.
Those were humans that left Earth.
And now, that's true.
You know, there was reasons for them to look the way they do.
We know why Earth is like that. Yeah. Swing and a miss. Sorry. All right, let's do Last of Us season finale, episode 9. Look for the light. Final episode of this long and wonderful, awful journey. This was probably the fastest episode, not in actual runtime, but just in experience.
I mean, it might have been both.
May have been.
Yeah, this episode felt like it was 20 minutes long.
Yeah, it zipped by, and things that I thought would take most of the episodes seemed to be almost a soundless montage of murder. We didn't get any sort of sewer action. Like the biggest, hardest, it's not even really the hardest part of the game because you're kind of souped up by then. But there you have like multiple bloaters and clickers and runners, and it's just a really fun part. There's like none of that. We get the only infected we see is with Ellie's mom. And I know I'm going to be jumping around for just the episode to my whole series thoughts, but they needed some more infected in this show.
For sure.
It's such a huge part of the game, and there are many, many moments that they could have done it, and they don't. And I know it's not what it's really about, but it is one of the most fun aspects of it, and it needed to be a little more prominent.
Yeah, so, at the beginning, we see why Ellie is immune.
Yes.
Her mother is bitten as she gives birth.
Squeezed out like you're, what's it called? Sass-botching? No, bass-scotching a turkey? You know what that is? You turn it upside down and you break its like rib cage to flatten it out so it cooks evenly.
I mean, I know this technique, but I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, pretty much.
What'd you say it was called?
I think it's called like bass scotching. Something.
Okay.
It has those letters. I don't know if
Sure.
it's in that order, but yeah, zombie lands on her belly and just like pops the baby out.
So Ellie's mom, played by the wonderful Ashley Johnson, who played Ellie in the original game.
Who looks pretty good to Bella Thorne. Like they have the very
Bella
same.
Ramsey.
I mean, oh God, ew! Imagine Bella Thorne as Ellie. Ew. Um, like she looks like she could be around. They have the same sort of like rounded chin
Yeah,
and
it's solid
cheeks.
casting, and
Very
it's a fun
close.
casting.
Yeah. And
To sort of bring the original character in to have a connection with the original character. Um, it was just like once the episode started, and you just hear like her going like ugh, 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 like going through the woods. It
yeah.
just like it was so jarring because like I've heard those sounds a
Yeah.
billion times
Joel.
playing the game. But yeah, so we see her, you know, kill a clicker, or not a clicker, but
Yeah. It
an
should have been a
infected,
clicker. Why couldn't it have been a clicker?
and because they're so hard to kill, and
I don't care.
I don't know, whatever. Which was like a pretty fun
Yeah.
sequence. And she ends up in this barn that looks like a lot like the barn in the second game.
Yeah. At the end of the second game.
Well, I was trying to be vague about it.
Oh, you and your vague. We say spoilers for this. It doesn't matter. Don't listen to this if you don't know anything about anything. This is for you and me. This isn't for
it just
anybody
seems
else.
like, oh, this is the place that they're gonna like fix up later and
Yeah.
like be.
But like, who would know that?
But yeah,
Who-
it's like part of me is like, oh, it's poetic that she lives in the house where her
Yeah.
mom died, whether she knows it or not.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like,
What a coinky dink.
one, a coinky dink, and two, this house is in shambles now. They would have had to do so much work
yeah.
to like rebuild this random house.
That's what you gotta do to, the whole world. The whole world needs work.
But I think we do get some good. So after that sequence, we see Marlene shoot Ellie's mom and like kill her.
And they were bestest of buds.
They were best friends, and Marlene takes Ellie, and that's the beginning of Ellie's journey. And then I think we get some good Joel and Ellie stuff in this, where
Like Joel's a little, I think, a little too eager. Like now that he has admitted he loves her as a daughter, he's like way overprotective.
oh yeah, but
dad.
I mean, I think it fits though.
Yes.
And it's just
He's
I haven't
all
been a
in.
dad in 20 years, and now I'm trying to like get back into that rhythm. But it's like I didn't get the chance to like raise this kid, so now
Yeah.
I'm like in their awkward. Like I have to just jump into their awkward teen years.
Mm-hmm.
But also my awkward teen kills people. But it was just like, I don't know. I thought it was like kind of cute and
Yeah.
like charming, even though he was like failing, and that kind of stuff like makes
Yeah.
me cringe. And we find out that Joel tried to kill himself the day after Sarah died, but he missed.
Yeah.
And just the
He should have done like the the Bruce Banner things. Like I put a gun in my mouth and the big guy spit the bullet out.
Yeah. But I like the scene where, he says it wasn't. It was basically going.
It wasn't time.
It wasn't. Yeah, time. These 20 years haven't made me forget Sarah, or not forget Sarah, but get over Sarah. You basically made me get over Sarah.
Yeah.
You're my replacement daughter. So I like that scene, and it sort of like makes sense as to like why he does what comes next.
Yeah.
Because this season, I think, as much as I enjoy them together, like I think those two together are great when they're like doing their thing.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I needed more time
Okay.
for them to be together for me.
Sure.
It's like the show does enough to where I go, I believe it.
Yeah.
I get it. It works. But it's just
We spend so much more time in the game than
we
slowly
spent 25
developing.
hours with these characters, where now it's like we really only spent like 7.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've had like 3 episodes where like they weren't even like hanging out.
Yeah.
We have a whole episode with just Bill and Frank. We have a whole episode with just Ellie and Riley.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
That's it. Okay. Well, either way.
But still, 7 of 9.
But yeah, I mean, in the first episode, they just meet, so it's not like they're really like vibing.
And in 2, Tess is still around, so he hasn't been forced to interact with her. So.
Yeah. So it's just I wish we had spent, like I said last week, I think this season should have been at least 12 episodes. I think we needed 2 episodes with Henry and Sam. I think we needed 2 episodes with uh, the group from episode 8,
Hmm.
and we have more of the snow
Yeah.
stuff. And we needed episodes, whether those be the same episode, but we
Hmm.
needed more clickers. We needed some. We needed. Usually, I'm the first person to go like cut out stuff,
Yeah.
like keep it tight. We don't need all this extra shit, but we do need more
Yeah.
clickers. Because it is a zombie show. Whether
Hmm.
you want
Yeah.
it to be actually about the human connection, it can be, but there's also the zombie aspect to
Yeah.
it, which we like barely got.
Yeah. For the show to have them just be wandering and the fireflies come across them, that's so anticlimactic. It's like, oh, we're finally here, and they're just discovered. Where I like in the game, you're like stuck in the water and the rapids are going to wash you away, and it's high
Yeah,
stakes.
I knew it was like not gonna happen, but I
No.
was really hoping for like the bus sequence because that's such a
Yeah.
cool sequence in the
Yeah.
game.
And they don't have a lot of like big special effects moments
Yeah,
besides
and that's why I
background.
was kind of like, oh, well, maybe they're just saving it for the finale.
Yeah.
They're like doing, first season Game of Thrones, like you do cutaways whenever battles happen, but and you spend it all on like production and
Hmm.
stuff. But I was just hoping for like one big sequence, but
Yeah.
I guess you get that in 5 with the whole like horde sequence,
Yeah.
which was great. But give me more of that.
Yeah. And especially when they get to the hospital, it goes from waking up to I'm going to murder everyone in a matter of minutes. They like,
Within 2 minutes, he's killing everyone, and then a minute later, everyone's dead.
yeah, it like
Jesus.
they needed kind of that bus scene and have them getting pulled out and saved and talking about, oh, Joel, your wound opened back up and you got an infection, and they can like stay there, relax, and rejoice that they got there and have some, because they just like jump to doing surgery on her instantly and like don't even tell her what's going on. Have some interview questions and things, and have what's her face tell Ellie about her mom. They, have a little bit more of them just like, we finally got here and everything is safe. But it goes from, oh my God, we were safe, we get attacked, and now everything is the worst. And I have to murder everyone instantly.
Yeah. I mean, I liked the murder sequence.
Yeah.
Uh,
It was a lot harder in the game. Not
Yeah.
really realistic. I redid that so many times.
but and I mean, we've seen in the episode where it is the horde thing that Joel knows how to use a gun. Like he is so good with that thing. But at the same time, like we've seen him almost die multiple times from like one-on-one fights, and
Yeah.
then he just single-handedly takes on an army,
Yeah.
which is such a video game thing.
Mhm.
Like you play Uncharted, you play Last of Us, you play essentially any game. You're one person who kills 500 people
Yeah.
in a given storyline. It's like that's way too many people for one person to
One
kill.
person, yeah.
So it's like I both believe it, and at the same time, like the show has established, like there's no reason he also should have been able to do that.
Yeah.
It's just such a weird like thing, but it's fine, and I
It's
get
fine,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, I just wish, as great as this show is and was and will, I'm sure, continue to be, I would be happy to see the second game broke up over 2 seasons. And then you do, your 9 episodes a season or whatever. But take your time, get the whole story, have more clickers or infected. Really, don't miss anything. Like, cut out a bunch of like the combat stuff, sure, but like throw some more combat in.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah,
just fun things of making smoke bombs and throwing it in a crowd and trying to sneak past
we didn't even get a fucking brick.
no brick, no bottle, no Molotov,
And
no
those are like the easiest things
no
to do.
can of nails,
Like, the
no
can of
shiv.
The can of nails, like that's a video game thing. You
Yeah.
don't need to do that. That's fine. It's like, would I've liked to seen it? Sure, but was it necessary? No, because it's a silly video game thing. But there'd be bricks and bottles everywhere.
Yeah, it just kind of shows like how inventive you have to be, and especially like if it was something maybe Ellie learned from people and in showing Joel how to do this thing. Like, really, are you putting like gunpowder and nails in a can? And like him realizing, wow, that's kind of a fucked up thing, but that's genius. Just little things like that would have been nice. and no one getting held hostage at any point. I don't think.
Is that a
Like in the game, like you grab them and then
I
you
see.
could
Yeah,
hold a
yeah.
gun
I
on
think
them.
you only did that in the second game.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You're right. You're right.
But I mean, not that they couldn't have done it in this game.
Yeah. No bow and arrow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
No
just
flamethrower.
I mean, it's weird because it's a show that's so accurate and hits all the major beats, but at the same time, you're just like, it's missing stuff.
Yeah. Well, we even got a boost to drop the ladder scene.
Yeah.
Like that happened so many times. All we needed was a, hey, Ellie, get on this pallet and let me push you across this body of water.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I didn't have any of these complaints like 5-6 episodes in.
Yeah.
It's just this back half where I just realized like, man, this show flew by. And I don't know if it necessarily earned everything
yeah.
that it got.
Yeah.
And
it's just a timing thing. We only have 9 episodes and we got to cram it.
yeah. It's like you cut out essentially all the college stuff. You cut out the underground, the tunnel sequences with Sam and Henry. You cut out the rapid stuff with Joel and Ellie in the last part. It's like stuff like I get why you cut it, but it's like some of those sequences like could have been so scary, like being in those tunnels with infected and you just hear them in the distance, or like they come out of the darkness, and you just didn't get that. It's like if you just spent if you had another episode with Henry and Sam, you could have built on that relationship more. You could have like had them like you really feel like, oh, these 4 can work.
Yeah.
But it's like we got Frank and Bill in one episode, both die that episode. We get Henry and Sam in one episode, both die that episode.
Yeah.
It's just
Riley in one episode, she dies that episode.
Who?
Riley.
Oh, Riley, yeah. It's like every character we're introduced to die immediately. It's just like if they just stayed in one more episode, I think it might have hit a little harder. Like, don't get me wrong, episode 3 can stay episode 3. Like, it works. It's a perfectly told like love story that we didn't get in the game, but
with Henry and Sam,
but connected with so many people. Like, I'm not faulting the third episode. Like, it can stay the way it is.
I remember saying a long time ago, I wanted an episode where they were just like reading notes and you're kind of reading other people's stories of what they're going on. And we would just get small stories from other people. We'd flash back to how this person would have handled it. And I like to think of that third episode is just that.
Yeah.
Of just reading that suicide note and then imagining everything that had happened.
I'm sad it's over, and I like every episode, and I think the show is going to be the show to beat in a lot of awards categories.
Yeah.
But it's so early in the year, I could see it kind of like
getting forgotten.
Oh,
it happens all the time.
Or at least like it'll be nominated for a bunch of stuff, but people will have forgotten.
They're over it.
Yeah. And so whatever's like the big show at the end of the year, Perry Mason season 2 is cleaning up. HBO always does well on like awards at awards time, but it just, I think it's Game of Thrones season 1. It's like season 1 of Game of Thrones is great, but when you compare it to like season 3 or season 4, like season 1 is kind of like not very good.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that this is just like, look what we can do. It looks just like the game. Our actors are great. Their chemistry is great. We can tell a story that like all the pieces are there. HBO, give us twice the budget, and we can make the best show you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Then, in the long run, I could be okay with it. But I just wish we had 3 more episodes, 2 more episodes even, and I think the show would have been S tier, top of the line.
It definitely will probably top my list this year of things I've watched, but of all time, it may not make my all time.
Yeah.
Like I would say, the Watchmen TV show.
Oh, for sure.
Is better than The Last of Us.
100%.
Because, I mean, that's making up something completely new from a thing that was completely untouchable, considered unfilmable. And why is anybody doing this? And you made amazing TV.
Yeah. Arguably better than the source material.
Arguably. Where this is, you don't have to do shit. As long as your props and costume and set designers and your cinematographers, as long as you get the correct people to shoot it, you don't have to do any thinking with this. You
Yep.
just do the show. I mean, do the game, and you got the show.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Now the show's over. Is there anything you wished you saw in particular, or
I did have a few things like yesterday. I remember thinking stuff like, "Oh yeah, we didn't get this. I'll make sure I'll bring that up to Steve." You know how my brain is. Leaked out my ears. A bottle and a brick. Or okay. Here's one thing. They make a big deal about look at the infected. They try to stay out of the sun. Their little vines tell them where you are, no matter where they are, and they never capitalize on that. And I thought that would be something that would happen if they did the sewer section, where we got to get down this tunnel, but there's so many infected. You throw a brick onto some of the vines on the wall and makes them think there's someone else. They all run out and they sneak by, and like you're expecting this to pay off in some sort of way. But it never does. It's just kind of a, hey, this is a cool thing that we changed on them, and it really doesn't matter to anything, except for, oops, we stepped on it in this episode, and we got to run away. That's it. That's a bit of a shame.
Yeah, it's like after the second episode, yeah, and you have episode 2 that has like you step on the thing and the horde comes, and then you have an episode, I think 5, when they come out from under the ground. But that was just like you've opened up a hole where they all piled in, and they just happen to be pouring out. But like we've had other episodes where it's just like a single infected shows up. Like we get one infected in the Bill and Frank episode, but it dies instantly. Yeah, we get one episode in the finale, or one infected in the finale,
and
dies.
in episode 7, one in the mall,
and the one in the mall. Like they all just show up, bite whatever important character, but then they're killed off. It's like, I understand the infected aren't the main focus of the show, but like,
but aren't they not communicating with the other ones around? And when one is dying, that it's not sending a signal to send a whole bunch more.
That's just a vine thing. Yeah, but I guess,
but it's not like they're connected to the vines. Yeah, it's just like they know. It's like the aliens and aliens. It's a psychic thing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's. It's like the more I think about it, the more I'm like, oh, God, I'm kind of upset. Like,
fuck this show. This show is garbage. You know what? Not overrated. I think people just saw one, leftist agenda episode of pushing 2 gay people on the American public, and they fell in love with everything. This is disgusting. Oh, you want to hear something disgusting? The age difference between Leonardo DiCaprio and his girlfriend is the same as Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey. That's disgusting. Did you watch Pedro Pascal's Hot Ones?
I did.
He's gay, right? Pedro Pascal is at minimum bi. He's not a straight man, correct? Would you agree? Or did you not even think of it? I had a sneaking suspicion, but that episode put me over. That dude's gay.
I could see it, but I think
I'm not and if anybody hears like a weird tone in my voice, that's not a condemning.
I think we should cut this too.
I'm sure like 50% of actors in Hollywood are gay, and they just don't come out because it just hurts your career.
Better for the brand.
And it's stupid. Like if 50% of actors are gay, like, and they all came out at the same time, what are studios going to do? Fire half of the most popular things? But anywho, yes, I think Pedro Pascal. I think he's gay or bi, and that's fine if he wants to stay closeted. I just, I don't think he's fooling everyone.
Fair enough. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me just from like, I don't think he's ever been married.
No, and no kids.
And I think that's a sign. There was talk of like him dating like Lena Headey or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Back in the Game of Thrones days, like I'm sure he's dated women.
Oh yeah, that's right. Like he absolutely could be
best friend, or one of his best friends is Sarah Paulson, and it's like
you saw the picture of him with his bangs and stuff when they're young. They're like hanging out, and Pedro Pascal has these crazy bangs. Oh my god.
What were we talking? Oh, Chris Evans and Anna de Armas.
I mean, that's not really what we were talking about. No, it was just a thing. Yeah.
But you saw the Ghosted trailer, right?
No.
Oh. But they're in a new movie together called Ghost. Okay. Yeah. So the trailer to me seems like, because they're both in it, it could be fun. That being said, both of them are too good to be in this movie.
Oh, okay.
Like, this is a movie that
It's called Ghost. Is it a dating? Is it a romantic comedy?
it's a romantic action comedy.
Oh.
So like, so here's
Oh.
a premise: Chris Evans meets a girl.
Uh-huh.
They hit off. They have like one. They go on one date, or like they sleep together one, whatever it is. I think they just have one date, and he's just like, he's calling up his friends like, guys, I think she might be the one.
Oh,
He's
God.
like,
Yeah.
this girl's perfect. And then he's like texting her, and she's not responding. And he's like, I texted her like 23 times. And they're okay. Raise your hand.
Can I just make a guess off of what's going on
Sure.
right now? That somehow she's been kidnapped and that's why she ghosted him, and now he has to go and rescue her.
Close, but no.
Oh.
So he knows that she has to go to London for work. Like she has some sort of job there. And he's like, would it be weird if I like flew to London after just one date?
Yeah.
And, like,
Yeah, I mean, not for Chris Evans.
yeah,
That guy shows
like,
up.
and everyone's just like, no, dude, it'd be super romantic. But then he's like talking to the cab driver about it when he like lands in London. He's like, yeah, dude, this is super fucking weird.
Yeah.
Don't do this. And he's like, what? And anyway, he runs into her, but turns out she's a spy, or like she's a
Okay.
hitman or something like that.
Okay.
So
She's the gray man.
So now he's becomes like a target because he's seen with her, and so now these two have to like team up and like fight bad guys, and he's like hand-to-hand fighting. It's like one bad guy, and he's like, who the hell are you, dude? He's like, I'm the boyfriend. Punch.
Oh.
It's just like, it's so cheesy and by the numbers. Like, how did you get these two to do this? Was it just Chris Evans going like, I gotta do another movie with this chick. Like, we gotta hang out for 3 months.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like, oh, you're gonna pay me, and we're gonna have trailers next to each other, and I can just like dump my
Run
girlfriend.
lines.
Yeah, I can dump my girlfriend right now and just bang Ana de Armas for the next 3 months. Yes, thank you.
We're gonna have to cut all this.
Nah, it's fine.
I don't.
Hearsay. Allegedly.
I mean, I'm just saying it. Like I said, it's like they're two actors I really like, and I think that they probably have enough chemistry on screen and like are charming enough that I could watch that movie with like my wife and go like, that was fun. I like this movie, but they're both so good. Like, this isn't the movie they should have done.
Yeah. God.
It's a real shame. We'll watch it after this if you want. You should check it out.
Okay, I'll check out the
like the trailer is kind of embarrassing.
And what's it called?
Ghosted.
Oh, and then it's going to turn out one of them's dead?
Yep.
That's why it's actually called Ghosted. It's a triple double fake out?
Yep.
Now you've sold me on it. The Ghost and the Hitman? Hitman and the Ghost? Or a hitman named Ghost?
That's a roommate comedy.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a hitman who killed someone, but then but the ghost of the person he killed is now his roommate haunting him.
Write it down.
Write it down. I don't have my stuff.
This is our
perfect. And every person he kills moves in.
Oh, it's like it's a curse.
Yeah. But I think all the ghosts should be kind of like okay with it. Yeah. But they're just there to fuck with them. And like, I had a daughter, right? And I was going to go see her piano recital. And like, well, being dead's kind of great. I love being dead. I don't have any worries or anything, but they just constantly keep pestering him.
You can make it work somehow, yeah.
Okay, what do they call it? The ghost assassin or the ghost and the assassin.
Sure.
My neighbor's the ghost and the assassin. Something of that. Yeah. I like it. It's better than ghosted.
Well, you call it haunted because he's haunted by his work and his past, but he's also haunted by actual.
Oh, and his name is like Ted Hahn, and he's haunted.
Shut the. That was one of the worst things you've ever said on this podcast. And you said some horrible things.
And most things that have been edited out.
So anyway, The Last of Us.
The Last of Us. Oh yeah, we're still talking about that.
I don't think there's anything to say. I would give this show
A-.
Yeah, A-.
Yeah, it doesn't deserve.
It should have been an A+.
Yeah.
It could have been an A+, but it's an A-.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder what Bella Ramsey was saying. it'll be a quite controversial ending, or what was it? Divided, polarizing? Polarizing, I think was the word.
Yeah, I think it was just a clickbait title. I
Yeah.
regret even bringing it up because it just followed the game.
Yeah.
There was nothing
Nothing
surprising
different.
or controversial about
No,
it,
but we did.
other than how fast it was.
I mean, that the whole speech at the end is exactly the same.
Essentially, yeah,
Okay.
pretty much word for word.
Because I thought they were even going to go into the scene we see in part 2 when she really comes at him and he admits to her. It almost felt like we were.
But that's 2 years later.
Yeah. That's why it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it almost felt like they were going to go into that and like he would maybe admit, but that doesn't work for the story. Yeah. All right. Well, season 2, 2025.
That's your guess?
It'll be summer 2025. It won't even be another January. It'll be like 2.5 years before we get more of this. Give her time to age up. She'll probably work out a bit more, lose some of the like child roundness of her face, and Ellie gets a little more scrappy as she gets older. So,
but she also grows like a foot.
She does,
in
but
the game.
we can't control that.
He's not going to grow anymore.
And that's why we get Florence Pugh, who's 3 inches taller. I looked it up.
Oh,
She's 3 inches taller. You get her a little jacked. Boom. It doesn't matter. They could each be like 3 foot tall and 3 foot 3 inches. She's still taller. You could still shoot that to make it work.
Yeah, but I mean, you also should have Abby be able to like take on. Florence Pugh took on. Sure. I believe Florence Pugh.
She was a Black Widow.
She was a Black Widow. Yeah.
And especially, you get your extras who are playing the, what are they called? The Seraphites?
Seraphites, yeah.
Seraphites. And the clickers. You cast shorter actors for that, and you film it so it make her appear a little bit bigger. Because if you have a 6 foot clicker and she's only 5'4", that's going to look a little weird. She needs to be a little bigger. So you cast everyone in the show a little bit shorter. I always kind of thought that would be a fun thing, especially for fantasy. All your actors, your hero, you hire 5'1", 5'3", and the women are 4'7". You try to get as many small statured people without being little people.
Right.
And then you scale down all the chairs, the glasses, so everything looks kind of normal, like as if they were 6 foot. Then you can have your people like the dude who plays the mountain playing these giant ogre people, and you don't have to use CG and trying to like get through doorways. I think it would be a fun exercise in trying to shoot without, putting a CG giant.
Or you just do what Peter Jackson did and just use camera tricks.
That's so much extra work. Like, that's a lot of work for every shot to be this forced perspective thing. If you just are hiring shorties and tallies,
you're saying you need to build entire sets to match their size.
So would you with your forced perspective? So it's easier though, because it's all just scaled down, and yours is like certain angles and stuff.
You can keep everything the same size, is what I'm saying.
Some things, other things would have to, like Gandalf has little teapots when he's handling to Bilbo, and Bilbo has a normal sized teapot, or a little bit, like, you would still need a lot of props. It would be more expensive your way. I like my way. This is my movie, Steve. What are you even shooting? This is my movie. God. Well, let's get to the main topic. The thing I've been itching to talk to you about.
Okay, I have thoughts
for a week. I've gotten to bounce a lot of my ideas off of my roommate, off of our buddy Nick.
Oh, so I'm going in unprepared for this
this
fight, because you have spent weeks putting notes together. Okay, great.
And as a big fan of the series, I know a lot more about it than you do. As you said, you only saw part 1 and now part 6. You got the whole middle section. And I gotta say, this is a great movie to go into blind. They do tell you everything you need to know. They go back to each of the movie is on a whiteboard, and they go like, well, Scream 1 were 2 killers, and that was this, and then this is the only one with 1. Like, they really lay it out. Were you confused at all at any point?
Not one bit.
Okay.
So, like you said, I have not seen Scream 2, 3, 4,
Can we pause
or
for
5.
I want to get another drink. You want another drink?
Sure.
Oh, also, I got a food for you to try.
Oh, snap. Thank you.
Do you want to try it now? Or?
Oh, what's the food?
It's a new popcorn.
Okay, I'll give it a try.
But then this is Mexican street corn, so it's got like white cheddar, spices, lime, cilantro, And it tastes like legit Mexican street corn.
I like that.
You want to eat on it?
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is going to be a big seller. But also, one of the funny things, love the colors.
Yep.
I think it's really dynamic. How many fucking fonts do you need? It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different fonts. So you got real sloppy.
And I were in Walmart today. We were walking down the dog food aisle, and there was just these really impressive like art style on these bags of like dog food.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, oh my god, like I would buy this dog. Like they were like smaller bags, but they were like as expensive as a giant bag or whatever. They're probably some artisanal dog food. I don't really know, but it's just like, man, like look at the effort they put into the art on these things. Like they're eye catching, they're beautiful to look at. Like this is like I put these in a frame to hang them up on a wall. It's just like I always stop and appreciate like certain book covers or certain products when they like have a similar theme or like it's just I really enjoy
Good graphic design.
good graphic design.
Yeah.
And she's always just like, you sure love your marketing, Steve. Like she's very like, she's like, I agree.
Isn't that nice, sweetie? Yeah, very
It's like-
nice.
it's like
that
there's
dog food bag is really pretty.
There's times where I'm just like, should I take a picture of this and send it to Ben and like check this out? But then I'm like, Ben doesn't give a fuck about this.
Dog food, Steve.
But
yeah, real cool.
I just want to shout out people who like put time and effort into like making products that look interesting versus like generic, something that either looks generic or looks cheap or just has like 7 different fonts just to like different. It's like, look at all this stuff it's got. But just like I don't know. Even if I would never buy it because of price, I appreciate good quality graphic design.
And I'm also a fan of like really minimal, where it is just like a simple label with one font, just says beer and it's a white can, just something extremely simple. I'm a fan of that too. Whereas like this Mountain Dew can, this is disgusting. This is so ugly. I hate the MTN Dew. Fucking put Mountain. Put the whole thing. Or just MT Dew. Why MTN? MT is Mountain.
I will say I do like the silver with it though. I think the colors on this are good.
But I don't like it's like it's breaking through a bunch of frozen Mountain Dew. It's in your face. It's like, it still feels like it's part of that extreme culture of the early 2000s that we've moved past. Yes, we know Mountain Dew. You were the pioneers of extremeness. It's embarrassing.
Extreme cheddar.
It's like dudes still wearing their Ed Hardy shirts. And I'm like, dude, oh, no, this is 2008. You're in 2008.
Yeah, I gotta say, Mountain Dew has been great though. Like they went from they started out as like the whatever soda, had the old prospector guy in the front who like worked the mountain, and then pivoted to we're the like extreme sports people, and then extreme sports no one gives a shit about anymore, and they were like,
extreme sports are now just considered sports.
Sure, but it's like in the early 2000s, it was like. Anyone everyone loved skateboarding and X Games.
Snowboarding in the Olympics?
Tony
How
Hawk
dare you?
Skater. And then they went from that. It's like, okay, no one cares about like, Travis Pastrana anymore. Matt Hoff. You need to step up your game, man. Anyway, it's like
step up my game of people I shouldn't know anymore.
Extreme sports athletes.
Got it.
Shaun White.
Okay, I know Shaun White.
Yeah. It's like, those aren't cool anymore per se. You know what is cool? Video games. Now it's Doritos and Mountain Dew. They teamed up and they conquered the video game market in terms of like, you need a snack while you get. Which also, Doritos are the worst video game snack because of the cheese. It's like
absolutely
your controllers. I've spent egregious amounts of money on Doritos. I love Doritos. If you want to be a sponsor of the show, Doritos, hit me up. Your boy's here.
We'll do tier lists. We'll do, brackets. We'll do whatever you want.
We'll eat Doritos on every podcast. Just crunch on them as we talk about
you give me some Cool Ranch, I will be there.
That being said, they are terrible for gaming. But I still
most chips are. If it's salty or powdery, anything that gets on your fingers, you shouldn't be eating in gaming.
Yeah. We're just not going to talk about the Scream right now.
No, fuck Scream.
If there could be some sort of like animal food shoot where like I press a button and it like slides down a tube into my mouth.
Yeah.
If I could do that somehow with if I could have like a beer can helmet, but somehow like it pushes Doritos into my mouth,
Yeah.
so I don't have to touch them as I game.
Yeah.
It'd be the perfect,
Yeah. But
it'd
you
be the
don't want it
perfect
like
product.
ground up to be gruel or anything.
No,
It
no, I
needs
want it.
to like conveyor belt into your
Yeah, yeah,
mouth.
yeah, 100%. Like it needs to be wide enough to like an entire chip can like slide into my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Or those like I don't know if they make them anymore, but when we were kids, they had like those weird like disc shooting
Yeah,
guns
yeah,
with
yeah.
the little like foam
Sure.
things. Like, give me that, but
But
like I can just pick it up and
yeah,
just like
but
shoot a Dorito kind of
you're
into my
using
mouth.
your hand, you got to keep that hand on the controller. I've seen a
Well, no, but
controller.
that's fine. It's like because I can pause the game. It's like, but if I pause the game
Mm,
and eat Doritos, well, now I still have to like wipe my hands.
sure.
Where like this way, I can like pause 2 seconds, shoot some Doritos in my mouth, put the gun down, and go back to playing. Or I don't have to pause at all because it's like not a combat sequence. I can just have my character stand there. But once the touches my hands, so it's like now there's a
Sure.
whole extra step of like, do I just lick my fingers? Do I get up, go to the bathroom and wash them? Do I have wet wipes nearby?
Yeah.
It's a whole production.
I did see a controller that had like a sleeve with a spring and it had like Oreos in it, and you would bite one and it would push up.
Oh, like a Pez
and it would
dispenser?
just be attached to the controller. So you would just bring it up to your mouth, bite your Oreo, keep playing. And then, so if it was something like that, but Doritos don't stack the same way. Chips are a little different than
That's the only
spherical
thing that
cookies.
Pringles does the best in the game.
Yeah.
Like the Pringle stack.
The amount per square inches of that can.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a Pringles guy, but
Pringles are good, but they're not my go-to.
They perfected the chip method,
Yeah.
Anywho, Scream 6.
Yeah, should I just start it over and cut out all that, or you want that in there?
I don't know. We'll see the runtime.
Okay. I mean, we're at 131 right now, so we're doing okay. Well, let me start it over, just in case we don't want to have chip talk. So, Scream 6, very excited. Yeah, I'm gonna have to leave chip talk in because I introduced it and we talked about Scream a little bit, so I gotta leave it all in. So, anywho, okay. So, before I get into like what I feel about the movie, I want to just like ask you some questions about the movie and all the movies, anything like that. So, did you guess who the killers were?
No.
Not a single one. Who did you think it was? Do you? Because Scream has a very recognizable formula. You start the movie with a big kill, and then you never know who it's going to be. It could be anyone at any time, and you're trying to play detective the whole time. See which ones don't match up, and yada yada, and trying to figure it out. In most Scream movies, I'd say it's pretty hard to figure it out. Maybe you don't know their motivation, but a lot of times you're not going to guess. Especially like 2, you're never going to guess that who the killer is. But that's kind of the fun of Scream, is knowing those rules and trying to see where they slip up and go, oh, that person wasn't there. It could be them, and all their misdirections that they do. But this is the one, I guessed it pretty damn early. And spoilers from here out. So,
Well, let me just say that the only one, and spoilers for because we're about to spoil everything. The only one I thought like that I even had an inkling of like could be the one is the detective.
okay.
I thought there was enough evidence there where it's just like, he was always like not there at times, and he's like close to the group, and he would be able to like manipulate things. And it was just like,
how do you get the evidence? You're a cop.
Like it just there was things to point to him. But he always like or like there's the scene later on where Courtney Cox is getting attacked. Well, he's clearly he wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
So, but then, but the week before I saw this, when we were talking about like, oh, this is gonna be the next movie we watch, you put it in my head that Matthew Lillard, was the killer from one of the killers from the first movie was going to be in it. Like that's the secret twist.
Yeah.
So the whole time I was kind of like, all right, when's he coming in? And like they reference him multiple times, so I thought like that's what they were kind of like building to. And it's like they mentioned him at least 3 times.
Yeah, they're like, that's the TV that killed Stu Macher. If you believed he died.
Yeah. So I thought they were just setting it up for him.
Yeah.
Whether like how that would make sense in the grand scheme of things, I don't know.
I hope they never go back to that.
So I'm glad he didn't show up. But in my mind, I was like, oh, they're building it for him to show up.
Yeah.
And it's just gonna be a dumb movie thing.
Yeah. See, I I knew it was going to be the cop. I knew it was going to be the daughter. I didn't know about the extra son, but I think it's one thing to know that, but I knew it was going to be because Richie, the killer from the last one, was his son. Because she mentions, oh, when my brother died, my dad became a cop, and I instantly thought, oh, I bet it's going to be Richie's dad, but I didn't know if he would be the killer. But I fucking called it, and then after the daughter died, I looked to my roommate and I'm just like, oh, maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm not right, but. That's Scream for you. Always the misdirect. And she said it was going to be Kirby and Hot Guy across the street. Like, that makes sense. And everything was kind of leading to that. Like, yeah, you're right. And then got the reveal, and I was fucking right. I was so proud of myself. I've never gotten any of the Scream ones correct, or I've had a hint, but then I've taken it back, and it's like I only get an eighth of why it was. But this one, I was like 3 out of 4 of the pieces I got.
And this was the first time in a Scream franchise that there was 3 killers.
Yes,
correct?
And I think I mentioned that on when we were just having our talk. I said it's either going to be another single one or they're going to do something crazy and do 3.
3, yes.
Yeah, so got another thing. But that's kind of this movie. It is a little more predictable than some of the other ones. But I still had a really good time. All right.
What are some other questions?
Yeah. Did you think it was someone else besides... you said potentially the cop, but did you go, oh, maybe it's anybody else besides Matthew Lillard?
Besides Matthew Lillard, no, because like I didn't really expect any of the core 4, as they said, to really do it. Just because it seems like, based on the information that the movie set up, like they've kind of already gone down that road from other movies where like someone in the group gets traumatized and becomes the killer, and they even like the one girl like makes that speech about like all the horror movie tropes, like we could go this way or this way, or like you two just showed up into this movie, so like both the roommate characters who turned out to be brother and sister, like they kept going like, oh, you guys could be it, and then they like one dies and one was in the car as another person was murdered and he clearly didn't do it. So it's just like, all right, well, they're doing a lot of work to show that they can't be it. Which is why I just assumed it was like some fourth party that was from a previous movie that I hadn't seen. So that's kind of like in my mind. I wasn't even like trying to put pieces together.
Okay. Did you find this to be bloodier or not as bloody as you expected?
It's weird because I would say it's more violent than I expected, but
lots of stabbings.
Yeah, lots of stabbing, but not really bloody. Like all the blood kind of comes quick. Like whenever someone gets stabbed, it's not like blood oozes out or like blood's flying everywhere. It's just like it's like the violent act of seeing someone get stabbed. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is like crazy.
Yeah.
And the only like real like super bloody thing is like him opening up the fridge for like half a second. You see like his
chopped
roommate
up friend,
chopped up in the fridge.
The woman that falls off the ladder and smashes her face. That was, I mean, you saw the makeup effect. You know, there was a damage to it, but there wasn't like in Scream 1 when Drew Barrymore's guts are hanging out of her stomach as she's hanging from a tree. Did you find this movie to be just as stupid as all those other dumb fucking horror movies?
Yes and no. I'll say that I enjoyed this movie more than I thought I was going to, especially from jumping from 1 to 6. But it's an interesting. I think Scream is an interesting case study because of all the horror franchises, this should be the one I like the most because it is about filmmaking, it is about tropes, it is about subverting those tropes, and it's not a supernatural being that somehow like, Ghostface takes a bunch of hits and keeps coming, but it's not like it's like if you shoot Ghostface in the head, Ghostface doesn't get back up.
Sure. But you have to believe that when you put on the Ghostface costume, you get the powers of Ghostface. You're going to be stronger. Because like in the last one, when Dewey died, he was killed by the female killer, and she is like the tiniest little thing. Seeing her in the costume would have been adorable because she's kind of short. You just have to believe once you put on Ghostface, you're a little
grow
bit
to 6
taller,
feet.
you're a little stronger, you're
can
able to
pick
do
someone
these
up with
things.
one hand and
Yes.
choke them.
Yeah,
Okay,
you just
fair.
have, and it's just like how many people get stabbed in this and survive.
We'll get to
We'll
that.
get to that. You just have to just buy into it.
Yeah, but that's my thing. It's just
That's
like
a horror thing too.
right, and that's why it's like it's just as dumb as it is interesting. It's like there's things I like about this. I think the performances are all pretty solid. I think that there is like the fact that it's just someone in a mask that's going around stabbing people, and the fact that it's like there's reasons why people like keep dressing up because he is kind of like a horror icon in this world, and there were all these like stabbing movies or the Stab franchise, and everyone always has a connection to why they're doing this.
Yeah.
It's not like necessarily silly.
It's well, like with the Jason movies, you go, Jason kills kids. Jason comes back somehow and he kills some kids. And that's all they ever are, and that's all they're expected to be. Scream gets to be a murder mystery.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out the answer at the end, because every time it's a new Ghostface. Ghostface gets to come back every single time, but it's not supernatural. It's no bullshit.
Yeah, it's not like Myers. It's not.
It's just
Jason.
someone in a suit with their
Someone
own
different.
motivation,
Right.
and so each one you can be as cliche or as inventive as you want to be, and it's a testament to horror movies in general. No franchise has gotten to a part 6 without having a piece of shit. None of the Scream movies are pieces of shit. Like 3 is the worst one. It's the most bloodless. It's not nearly as violent. They were worried about Columbine, yada, yada, yada. So they're ones that like have their pros and their cons, but none of them are garbage. They're all good in their own right. And you look at Nightmare on Elm Street, the second movie is considered one of the worst, and Friday the 13th, it's like 2 or 3 is not considered. Like no one gets to 6 and have not a stinker.
But I will say the part that I don't love is it like, and I guess you could argue that it is part of what the film is trying to say. It's got a bunch of horror stuff that I find annoying.
Okay.
Like the stabbing, like the fact that the like romantic interest of Jenna Ortega's character gets stabbed 25 times.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, and he just shows up at the end and they're like, how'd you survive? And they're kind of just like, core 4, baby.
Yeah.
It's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? That made me so angry when I was watching that.
I think
there's no reason that guy should have stayed alive.
Yes. It's 2 things. I mean, and well, before I get to the 2 things, I think they did a disservice not killing him, because that was the kill that actually kind of affected me. It made me feel bad that she had to watch him, and it looked so painful.
Oh, yeah.
And they're having their cute moments, and it was tragic. So I think it's 2 things. 1, studio interference. They don't want to kill off these popular lead characters because we have a good franchise. You can only kill off so many.
I don't believe there was a studio exec who said we have to keep this guy.
I think so.
I don't think you can blame everything on studio execs.
Because the
Okay, go
second
ahead.
thing in Scream 5, practically the same thing happens to him. He gets stabbed a fuck ton, and you are to believe he's dead, only for him to be wheeled in
And wasn't
by...
he shirtless in the beginning when he was like the cowboy?
He was shirtless, yeah.
Or was he a cowboy? I don't remember.
He was something, but he was shirtless with no scars. But he was stabbed, and like, I think Achilles tendon cut. He was supposed to die in that movie, but they liked him on set so much that they decided, let's not kill him, let's save him, like they did with Dewey in the first movie. Dewey was supposed to die. Everybody liked that character, so they decided to save him. So I think it's now going to be the running joke for this character, just like with Dewey. Doesn't matter how many times he gets stabbed, how many times you think he dies, he's going to come back. So he's the new Dewey of this franchise. He's just like the opposite side of the coin. He's the super hot, capable, lovely man to look at compared to David Arquette. But yeah, in the next one, he better be affected, because that's one of the things I loved about Dewey in 2 and in 3, because he just keeps getting stabbed. he actually has like nerve damage and his arm is kind of crinkled up on one side. Chad better not be fucking jock man. He needs to be
In a wheelchair
in a
or
wheelchair, bedridden, something like I can't shit. I have to shit in a bag because they got me. I lost one of my lungs. He needs to be in a bad place. Because if he's still shirtless cowboy at a Halloween party a year later, all these people, if you go back to the last movie, Jenna Ortega gets her like ankle smashed on. She gets stabbed multiple times. She gets attacked in the hospital where she's recovering and has to drag her body across the floor and is bleeding everywhere. And a year later, she's cool. She's fine. They all just get over their injuries. It's nothing because your back and your stomach can take so much damage. It doesn't matter. Jenna Ortega got stabbed in the back and then in the gut, and she walked off into the sunset. Everybody gets stabbed so many times. One of the killers gets stabbed in the back of the throat, and he still gets up.
Oh yeah,
But that's a Scream thing. The killer always has to get up at the very end.
And they have these every time Ghostface shows up. It's never like I kill that person quick unless it's like a nonsense character. Like he kills Tony Ravioli's character or whatever.
The psychiatrist? Who's Tony Ravoldi?
The guy from Flash Thompson from the new
okay. Yeah.
Well, yeah, so back at the beginning of the movie, you have the film teacher who gets stabbed, but she takes a phone
Samara
call
Weaving, love it, Scream Queen extraordinaire.
Yeah. Was she in any of the other Scream movies?
No, she was in like Ready or Not, who the directors of this directed Ready or Not. She's great. I love Samara Weaving.
Where she's a film professor at college and she's going on a date, and as soon as like she gets the call and like that voice comes on, it's like, and because you see a picture of the boy that she's like, it's like a online dating thing, and so it's like this is the first time they're going on a date. I was like, that's weird. Like that, I know that voice, and that's definitely not the voice of that guy. So this chick's definitely gonna die.
But that's the big Scream thing is you always start with a big kill.
Sure.
Which it should have been Gale Weathers. It should have been Courtney Cox. Yeah. They should have opened it with killing her. They got rid of Dewey last time. Get rid of her, and then you can save Neve Campbell for the next one. You got to start getting rid of these legacy characters. But I have a joke about that.
My point is, you like have these quick instant kills, pretty much. But then every time you see Ghostface face off against any of the main cast, whether it be Courtney Cox or Jenna Ortega or whoever, it's like they always have to like have a struggle, and they grab a vase and smash it over their head, or like they get a frying pan. Yeah. It's like, so Ghostface is taking hit after hit after hit in the face in these movies, or like getting pushed over, but then like once they pull off the mask, it's like
they're fine.
No black eyes. Like that's how you like find out who the killer is. If someone walks in with a black eye, that's Ghostface, because you hit him in the face with a frying pan. So when Ghostface, these aren't armored masks people are wearing.
They are just mesh. Yeah. So when Ghostface attacks them in the apartment, and and they got to cross the ladder, who's in the suit? Because the daughter, quote unquote, dies there. So is it the dad or is it the brother? Because the brother said he had an alibi being in class, and I think he would have to have that alibi, right?
I think it had to be. See, to me, what makes sense is the dad, because he would have the strength to like bust down the door, but the thing with that is he his monologue at the end, he's just like, I just had to make sure I was the first one on the scene. Mm-hmm. So that implies that he wasn't there. He was the first one on the scene to switch the bodies.
Sure, but that would make sense for if he was Ghostface.
But if he was just Ghostface there,
automatically be the first.
Yeah. So which made me think, oh well, it was the brother, but the brother doesn't make sense. It should have just been the dad there. Yeah. But that doesn't make sense.
So if it's the dad, I can't remember the older sister. Samantha.
Yeah.
The character's name is Samantha.
Samantha Carpenter.
Yeah. She goes to look for a knife, and she only has the knife block and bashes him the fuck on the back of his head.
Yeah.
The next day, you start checking for lumps on the back of everyone's head. No one's getting out of that. She hits him with a frying pan as well, I think, in the same scene. That guy's fucked. He would be losing vision in one of his eyes.
And, it's a horror trope. It's a movie trope. We get it. But it's like, I'd like to see one horror franchise, like, kind of point that out.
Sure.
It's like, oh, yeah, I was attacked by this guy. And, sometimes horror movies have done it where it's just like, oh, I cut him in the arm. Roll up your sleeve. Mm-hmm. And they might do that kind of thing.
Sure.
But, like, do it in a major franchise where it's not fucking stupid.
Yeah. I was really surprised with that intro because Samara Weaving plays into the tropes of the movies that she teaches and gets murdered in an alley by Flash Thompson. And then he takes his mask off, and I went, ooh, that's different, because you never know who Ghostface is at that point. And I thought, is this going to be something really different? Are we going to see everything from the Ghostface perspective? But by the time he got home and then answers a phone call, I was like, ow, that's not what this is.
Yeah.
But that's a shame, because I would kind of almost like to see it, because they have to talk to each other and go, okay, when we killed this person, you need to be at 7-Eleven because you need an alibi, and I'm going to say I'm at work, and like everything has to be planned out so meticulously. It would be kind of fun to see it from the Ghostface perspective.
Yeah. Now, this is the only part that I think I struggled with in terms of like needing to see something from before to fully understand.
Okay.
So like a big part of this movie was like everyone thinks Samantha was the real killer. And
The last time.
Was the last time. Was that really established at the end of the fifth one, or is this something that was kind of made up for this
No,
one?
it was made up for this one.
Okay, because like there's and I get the idea of just like, well, people online become conspiracy theories. Like, it doesn't matter what the truth is. People will believe what they want to believe.
Anything. Yeah.
And so like there's people who really hate her because they're like, oh, you killed whatever.
Richie.
Richie, yeah. It's like, you were the one who killed Richie. You're the bad person. It's like, but isn't there just like a mountain of evidence at this point that would say that Richie is the one?
Yeah, and there was it wasn't just her that saw it. Like Jenna Ortega saw it, Gail Weather saw it, Sidney Prescott saw it. Like there was a bunch of people who were witness to all this.
Yeah.
But look at our news now. It doesn't matter how much evidence you show.
No,
and
I get it.
So
it just seems like it'd be a stretch, but I get what they're trying to say.
Yeah. For them to have it be really important to their master evil plan that a lot of people start believing this, that's kind of hard, because you could start a rumor online. Doesn't mean it's going to get traction.
Yeah.
So they're really lucky on that.
But then you also, like, if you introduce this idea, so maybe...
You know what? Actually, I think they did establish it, that Richie was him and his girlfriend were going to be one of the sole survivors because Samantha snapped, and being the daughter of Billy Loomis, I think they were going to blame it on her.
I was just about to bring that up, where a big part of this movie was just like, will Samantha turn and become like a killer because she's the daughter of one, and she's talking to her really old Skeet Ulrich reflection.
Okay, see, Nick said the same thing. Why are you guys saying he was old? It was like a young version of him.
No, it was not. It was Skeet Ulrich now.
No fucking way.
He looked like Brendan Fraser does now, not Brendan Fraser from George of the Jungle. Like, he looks weird. No offense to Skeet Ulrich, you're a very handsome man. I'm just saying, like, it's clear they did not DH him for this, for these daydream sequences. Okay,
I need to go back and rewatch this because they do that in Scream 5 as well.
Oh, okay.
But you do see him a little more clearly, like he's in the backseat of the car and she's looking in the rear view mirror, and it looks amazing. It is de-aged, and like, because my roommate watched it and they're like, oh wow, he looks really good. And I was like, no, that's a fucking CG head. That's not him. I'm like, wow, that's a really good effect. So why would they use an old version in this one? Okay, there had to have been two different prints, because I am swearing that was a de-aged. They would have just used that same digital face from before.
I'm not saying that they didn't like do some digital thing to like maybe try and make him look smoother, but he was old. He was his age. He looked like I assume he looks now.
Okay, I will concede but I swore. Wow.
But anyway, okay, so if they did that last one, that's fine. I just thought this was
his ghost is aging. Okay, you die, and
that's how that works.
That's how it works.
So that's why I just assumed this was like a new thing. They were just like,
No.
oh, trying to push this narrative of like, oh, she's snapping because now she's
Yeah.
talking to it. But
Yeah.
if they did in the
They
last one,
did.
okay.
That's one of her big things of why she left her sister alone in the first place was when she found out her dad wasn't her real dad and she's the daughter of a serial killer.
Is Jenna Ortega's character her half sister?
Yes.
Okay, got
The
it.
person, who she thought her real dad is Jenna Ortega's dad. Or yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I tracked it.
But you never meet them or anything, so it doesn't really matter.
I think. Oh God, what's the actress's name? Melissa Barrera, I believe her name is.
I think so.
The
lead,
main girl, Samantha. I think there's a case for her to be Tomb Raider. I think she looks like Laura Croft in this.
They sure put a tank top on her.
They did. And they gave her like the armband.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I thought she was like kind of badass in this. I'm not saying she's like,
I don't see Tomb Raider,
superstar, but I think she could cosplay as.
She was better in this than she
Laura
was the last one. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's like all the performances in this were fine. I don't think no one really blew me away.
Some of the banter was a little cringy. That sort of just like friend talk that sounds completely fake.
I feel like one that's classic horror movie kind of dialogue, but also it's just like it's like adults writing
children,
teenage characters, and they don't. It's like YOLO, dude.
Yeah,
It's like I googled banter of teens now, and this is like how I try and form a sentence.
And it is kind of hard because teen slang evolves so quickly that even if you are writing a script and it's going into production, by the time it comes out, it's already kind of outdated. So I understand, but it just sometimes felt inauthentic.
Yeah. But I mean, I was entertained. I just wish it didn't have all the sort of like classic trappings of horror and really tried like.
But if it has meta commentary on all those classic things, that's kind of what it's about.
It's a double-edged sword for me because it's like it's doing what it set out to do, and it did it. But at the same time, it's still the things I don't like.
Yeah.
So that's the hard part for me. I appreciate what this movie, or this franchise, does and did, but it's not turning me on to the horror genre in a way that would make me go like it makes a case for horror. Even though I
does it make a case for the other Scream movies? Does it make you want to go back and watch any of them to kind of get those references of Uncle Randy being killed at college or anything like that?
I mean, it gave me faith that if I watch the other ones, I won't be upset, but it didn't grab me up to where I go, I need to watch the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you said, Steve, we're having a Scream marathon, we're watching 2, 3, 4, 5, I'd be like, sure, buddy, whatever, we can do that. But am I going to go out of my way to watch the Scream movies?
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that. All right. Now, when Scream 7 ultimately comes around, will I watch it? Probably.
Now you got a little
for this, or just or like it's the same reason I watched the last Predator movie.
Yeah,
was just because like you invited me. I was like, sure.
Sorry.
The last one was the?
I mean, the last one was Prey, but the one in theaters was the Predator.
The Predator, yeah.
God, oof. Shane Black, how have you fallen so far? All right, let's see what else I got here. And we talked about all the stabbiness.
I never want to see another legacy character.
Yeah, that's why
it's like I was already tired of a legacy character. Was Courtney Cox in the first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like her, Nev Campbell, and Arquette Boy were the three mains.
Yeah, it's like I was already tired of her being in this movie.
Yeah.
And it's like I have nothing against Courtney Cox. It's just like I'm tired of legacy characters in general.
Yeah, and you could tell it's so worn out. Like she doesn't show up for an hour, and it's just like, oh, look who's here! This person who does one thing has one fight scene and then is done.
Hayden Panettiere didn't care that she was there.
I was happy she was back. She was one of the good characters that they shouldn't have killed, quote unquote, killed in 4. So I'm fine that she came back, but she didn't feel quite the same as before. But I think in the next one, her and the twin sister they're going to be hooking up. They're both big horror dorks. One's gay, at least, like, we know for sure one's gay. They're going to be a couple in the next one.
Twin sister.
The twins, Chad and I can't remember her name.
Oh, I didn't realize they were twins.
Yeah, they're twins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And they are Jamie Kennedy's sister's kid. So Jamie Kennedy was in 1 and 2 and he died. His sister was in 3 to like bring a message from beyond the grave. Had a tape of Randy going like, hey, if you're watching this, that means I died. And if you are watching this, that means there's a third killer. And I got to tell you all the rules of a trilogy and stuff. So it's a fun little thing.
Okay.
So like she's in it and then she's in 5 and she was now married and had twins. And
Gotcha.
so,
Okay.
Yeah. And they're big horror fans, which is so weird that they're like, they are the Randys, so it makes sense. Like they share the same genes, but your uncle was brutally murdered, and then they made horror movies based off of it. It seems like something that would turn you off as a kid, and like this is a tragic thing in my family, and people are celebrating it, but or at least she is gung ho about all the horror. Okay, there's a Gale joke that I thought was kind of funny. They after confronting her and like doing the punch and she dodges and then gets punched. That's like a callback from the first one. She says something to the fact of like, you without Ghostface and these killings, you're nothing and you have nothing in your life. And it made me chuckle because Courtney Cox without the Scream movies doesn't really have much of anything else going on, and she's just kind of holding on to this franchise and will do them forever because what is Courtney Cox doing? I mean, besides, living large on her friends' money.
I was going to say, like...
Not that she has to, but if she is a working actress, you got to have more than just the Scream franchise on your IMDb.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if she's doing, like, Hallmark movies or what. I'm not following Courtney Cox's career, but if she... Okay, let's say, like, yeah, this is the only thing that, like, keeps her in major movies. Sure, Scream is it. So maybe it's, like...
It really helped her.
Yeah, but... She doesn't need to do anything. It's like, who cares?
I get it.
Yeah, just live off your friend's money.
And like, if I was her...
It doesn't matter.
And it like, I had a huge role on Friends. Everyone knows me as Monica. But I also have this movie where I'm a completely different character and people can see the difference between the two. That's lucky for me. Because look at everybody else in Friends. Not all of them had a chance to really become known for other things. And it being successful and fun and you like the ideas, yeah, keep coming back. I would do the same thing. I would put me in Scream 12. I don't give a shit. I had a point with that. But it just... Nope, gotta have to cut all that. Lost my point. Yeah.
Sorry,
Nah, it's okay. But I don't blame her for being in these. But I think it's time for Gale to go.
Uh-huh. That
final scene where she gets stabbed with the glass just felt so perfect for her to go. Like, this was her time. And even my roommate was saying, we'll go to the hospital and we'll see her in bed. And even if they don't talk to her, she'll maybe be asleep, but we'll know she's okay. But all we get is, they took her to the hospital. She's fine. They just walk off into the sunset. You guys have been stabbed so many times. You're going in an ambulance. Why? You're going to walk to the hospital? You've been stabbed in the stomach. That'd be so painful. And the friend that got stabbed in the subway is just like running up to them on the street to congratulate them. Like, you were stabbed in the stomach twice, just like hours ago. You're not running anywhere. Mm-hmm. They're not going to let you out of the hospital for that.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. Is just like nobody of importance died in this movie.
That's why Gale needed to die.
Yeah. It's just like, so the first 3 people to die were the opening setup people, the wannabe Ghostface killers, and the film professor. And then there isn't another real killing. I mean, I guess...
The doctor. The doctor is the next one. The psychiatrist.
Oh, right. Yeah. You have the psychiatrist, and then you have, I guess, Courtney Cox's boyfriend. Mm-hmm. But other than that, like, the only other, like, major characters that die are the killers.
No, right? I mean the girlfriend, the twin girl's girlfriend, right. She died. You think the daughter dies, so you count that as a kill. But like at that time, she's being killed in the movie, so you
I'm just
would
talking
count
about
that.
Endgame.
Yeah.
okay, the girlfriend's or the twins' girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
She was the only like important character, and I say important in quotes.
Yeah.
It's just like
She
of
was
the core
she was
group.
in the group. Yeah.
She's the only one that really died
Yeah.
because the other two were killers.
Yeah.
and which is crazy. So yeah, someone else needed to die.
Yep. Should have been Chad. Should have been Gale. And then just imagine being Jenna Ortega's character, and you're finding someone who's been in your friend group for a while, and you are falling for them, and then they're murdered right in front of you, just like so many of your friends. That puts her in a really good spot for the next movie. The twins' sister, they have both been gone through this horrible thing, and now she got out this time, but he didn't. That puts her in an interesting spot for the next movie. Our lead, Samantha, seems to be having a psychotic break of some kind. That's an interesting point to have her in the next movie. But just even two things. Chad survives, and she drops the mask. She should have kept that mask, I think. Like, no matter what, it's hard for her to let go of this situation, and it would just be
the one ring. It's slowly corrupting her until she becomes Ghostface.
And so then, even if she doesn't become Ghostface in the next one, it's the red herring for us to think, oh well, she's so crazy, she's gonna adopt it.
Yeah. See, my theory for Scream 7 is she's struggling with her mental state, and all these killings are happening around her, and you're just like, oh shit, like I'm the one doing it. But the twist is at the end, it's all in her head. She didn't kill anyone, but she knows she's going to, so she kills herself. So she's the only victim. She's Ghostface, but she's the only victim. She kills herself.
Yeah,
that's my guess. Guess for 7.
I can see that being because we've
so she doesn't kill her sister.
Yeah, that would be it.
She kills herself, so she doesn't kill her sister.
Because Ghostface always leaves behind the bodies. But if you're like, oh, I was attacked by Ghostface, look at the place is trashed, and the body of my housekeeper is over there. Wait, where is it? Where'd all the blood go? Oh, there really was never a Ghostface killing. It was just her having an episode.
Let's see. Do I have any? Like, I remember watching this. It was like, all right, I gotta bring this up. And maybe we covered them. It's just I don't recall.
What about like the convenience store scene? I know it was like the big trailer scene, but that was a pretty effective.
That was
good,
fun.
Yeah. But right before it is kind of ridiculous because they're on the phone with Ghostface and he's like hiding in trash and just jumps out at them on the street. Okay. And then follows them into the store, kills some people, and is acting as if he's going to shoot them. But their whole plan is to get them into this mausoleum at the end. Why are you trying so hard to kill them? Or would it have been okay, I could kill Jenna Ortega's character, but at least it's not, Samantha. It's like some of these attacks you're only doing it so you can get a vase smashed over your head and get away to scare them. And like your master plan can't include this. It almost seems like they wanted to kill him right here, but they fucking fucked up and missed, and then they had to rethink the plan. And I think that would be another fun thing to tell from the Ghostface side of things.
Yeah, but okay, so that scene I liked because of how like sort of sudden and brutal it was, and how like close it was. But at the same time, I always don't love this, like, especially in this little like practically bodega of a store where there's only 3 aisles, and they're like, what aisle could they be in?
Slowly creeping.
Next aisle.
They're on their hands and knees. You can just go like, whoa, 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 run by them real quick and see. But they creep around and they get around the corner on the end cap, and they're hiding. Just throw a can.
Yeah. And it's like they throw the can. It's like, okay, I'll go on this journey with you and believe that this guy hasn't seen movies before.
Yeah.
And like, oh, well, that might have been them who knocked over the thing. And he starts walking that direction. Yeah. But then, like, movies do this all the time where, like, characters will, like, slowly, like, crawl over stuff. And you, like, hear their sneaker squeak. Yeah. Or it's like they're moving over the glass, and the glass is making, like, really quiet sounds.
Yeah. It's still cracking, but very quietly.
Yeah. Ghostface would hear that.
Yeah.
Just because you're moving quietly and slowly doesn't mean he can't hear.
Yeah.
Especially, it's like, it'd be different if he was at the other end of the store.
Yeah.
But he's literally an foot
aisle
away.
over.
There's no way he wouldn't hear you instantly.
Yeah, there is you can't say, well, he does have a mask on. His vision and his hearing are impaired. It's not like he can see through all of it.
The gun's going off, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're sure.
But it's also on the opposite side. when Ghostface is just like hiding in a closet in the living room where Gail's on the phone and he's talking to her, like, I'm going to be able to hear you in that closet.
Yeah.
I'm going to hear like the delay from the phone and you coming out. So unless that's two people are attacking her at that time, which I don't think would be possible.
Yeah, the movie doesn't really lend itself to
Yeah.
doesn't set it up in a way where like I could see that being what they're
Hmm.
trying to do.
Yeah, because I
But
think the killer in that is the daughter killer. Had to be. Because they're doing
the brothers on the train, because they, oh wait, no, that hasn't happened yet.
That hasn't happened yet. No, because they're in the park
Yeah, yeah.
trying to locate the signal, and they go, "Oh no, it's at Gail's house." So the cop was there,
Yeah, so
and the boy was there, the son. So it had to have been the daughter doing that.
was the boy was at the park? Oh yeah, he was
He
in the
was
van.
in the
So
van
yeah,
with
it was
them.
his
Yeah, it's kind
Gotcha.
of fun. That's one of the things I love about Scream is just like who was who and who killed what.
Um, I did think the mausoleum idea was cool. Like it's like the
Yeah.
museum of the previous movies.
But
That was fun.
here's the thing. At first, I was like, okay, how did he get all this stuff? Because, oh, he's a cop and he's able to manipulate evidence and get stuff. Okay, he's only been a cop for a year because they said he became a cop after his son was killed, which was Richie, which was a year ago.
And all this stuff was in Woodsboro Police District?
No, because Woodsboro only happened in 1, 4, and 5. So there's stuff from 2 and 3 that are in Hollywood and in college.
Whatever towns those were in.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever town Hollywood's in.
You know what I meant.
I know, I do. So, but then they say, oh, well, this is Richie's place. He set this all up way before he even started doing his stuff for Scream 5. And they just kind of took it over and put it in the names of someone else. Okay, how did Richie get all this stuff? Yeah, there's like dirty cops who will sell things on eBay, but he had like everything. He had like, these are some of the biggest murder cases that get adapted into movies. This evidence isn't going missing. Not this much. Not every Ghostface mask. Not every knife. Every shirt of the victims. The TV that fell on Stu Macher's head. Come on. They didn't keep that. They bagged him. They took pictures and that TV got tossed.
Yeah, this seems like someone, you know how they're always giving out like, oh, scripts signed by the cast.
Yeah.
It's like they're not signed by the cast. They just like found their signature on Wikipedia, copied it, and then made a stamp. You know, I mean, it's a cool thing to have, but no, someone sold you a lie. This is not someone bought a TV and smashed it and like, this is the one that got Stumaker or whatever. I think whatever, that's fine. Once again, it's a movie nitpick
it's a movie,
thing.
Yeah, it's movie things. I think the only piece of logic that doesn't quite make sense to me, besides everything else we've already talked about,
Sure.
The daughter killer, she becomes roommates with Jenna Ortega. It's annoying. I call it Jenna Ortega and Samantha. I say an actress and then the
believe
character.
her name is Melissa Barrera.
Okay, what's
Jenna Ortega's
Oh, it's
character's name?
Tara. Yeah, Tara and Samantha. I'll do that.
Yep.
So she lives with Tara and Samantha, and they're like, well, you could be the killer. And like, well, it was an anonymous ad and we vetted her. Did she happen to just become roommates with them just by happenstance and then went back to her brother and dad and said, oh my God, you wouldn't believe it. The dumb bitch that killed my brother, I'm living with her. Should we do a Scream on her? Should we pull a Scream and kill her? Or did they plan to pull a Scream? And if that's the case, how did they know they lived there, was looking for a roommate? How did that happen?
My only guess is that once Richie died and the dad became a cop, he kind of just like always kept tabs on them. And then when they were, he like, whether it be like hacking into their emails or like, oh, well, I know that Tara moved to New York to go to school. And I've been like kind of following them around, whatever, or like I have the brother following them when I'm doing cop stuff. Oh, they live here now. Oh, I see. They put out an ad. Yada yada yada. I'm gonna put you in there as their roommate. That's how we're gonna infiltrate them. That's
It could be
that's my theory.
Because the brother is roommates with Chad. Chad would visit them and talk about them and maybe would introduce them. So okay, but if that was the case, why did Ghostface kill the psychiatrist and steal her file to find out where she lived?
Was that to find out where she lives, or was that to find out her psychological profile? Like, is there stuff in here I can use against her? Slash, like, if this doctor is saying she's nuts, can I play that up?
But they were already doing that. They were already spreading the rumors online that she is like crazy, and her father being Billy Loomis was already out. All that information was already public. I think he stole that file because he didn't know where she lived, because she wasn't actually like in any sort of system.
I don't care enough to really think that hard.
Just saying, I'd like to talk to the script writers to see how they worked around that.
And they would be like, shut up.
No. These are ones where they poke a bunch of holes as much as they can and try to fix them. They're relatively airtight movies.
Sure. Yeah, I guess I don't really have any other thoughts, I don't think. So if you had to guess what's sort of like the next sort of film, like what's the trend now that would be the thing in another Scream movie? Is it like because they've done we got to bring back legacy characters. We got to add more killers. We got to do a bunch of psych outs. What's the thing that's happening now? Is it?
I don't know, because it's hard to say, well, what's hot in horror right now? Well, the last one was only made a year ago. It's not like horror evolves that quickly.
Sure.
So I do like that this one was more about what we have set up in the past movie, and it is the revenge for the killing of him, and the Ghostface even at the beginning saying, fuck movies. This isn't about the tropes. We have characters talk about what it's like to be in a series, a franchise, as they put it.
Yeah.
But none of those rules don't necessarily apply, because Ghostface in them, they don't really care. They talk about that they liked horror movies, but that was more of of Richie's thing. So I like that this one isn't really about what it are the tropes of horror, and I think we're going to move in that direction. It's going to be less of what can we parody or mock or analyze, and just be a continuation of these characters with this framework. I don't think we're going to focus too much on the love of cinema, because they've had enough of those characters already.
Yeah, but the fact that the one twin who's really into especially horror movies, is still alive, you still have that character who's gonna.
Yeah, I don't like what's after franchise. There's nothing bigger than franchise except for interconnected universe.
Well, that was my thing. It's just like, do they sort of like poke fun? It's like, oh well, all movies now are doing the universe thing. We're like, what is the Scream's version of Marvel? Is it no characters ever die because they're afraid to kill off characters? Like, they've already kind of done that in this one, where it's like, well, none of us died in the last one. It's like, anyone that does die will find. But it's like, this world isn't based on like magic or time.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to bring anyone back to life in any sort of sense.
No.
So it's like, what is the Scream universe? I don't know if you could do that.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of is them. After Scream was a hit, the writer Kevin Williamson made I Know What You Did Last Summer. So it was, hey, you're the guy who made Scream. What other sort of slasher thing do you got? So you do Scream, but then you see that the second killer is the raincoat fish hooked, from I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Sure.
And they go like, what the fuck? Now we are in
I'm here to talk to you about the serial killer.
Yeah,
initiative.
we're in a multiverse, or we are in a Scream cinematic, or it would be the Stab cinematic universe. Oh, that's what they do. Okay, because in most of the movies they talk about the Stab movies.
Yeah.
That's what Scream, or the adaptation of what happens in Scream, and they go up to Stab 9, I believe. Okay. They were like a 1-to-1 for a while, but by the time we get to Scream 3, they're filming Stab 3, and it's like an original take,
Okay.
and the characters have been recast. And I think they said like by the time they got to Stab 7, there was like a time travel element. Like they get really,
Okay.
really dumb and ridiculous. So in those movies, like Tori Spelling was Sidney Prescott, and Luke Wilson was Billy Loomis. You have all these like big actors kind of portraying these roles. What's her face? Heather Graham was like Drew Barrymore's killer, or
okay.
Drew Barrymore's character. So then you start having Ghostface killing the real actors. Like you have Luke Wilson playing Luke Wilson and talking like at Comic Cons, being like, yeah, being part of this franchise was great. And so Ghostface is killing off the actual real actors who were in Stab. It's a little bit 3, but that's like the movie wasn't even being made yet. So that's how you start getting more meta, multiverse-y sort of.
Sure. Okay. Well, here's another question. Now I think it was the Kieran Culkin character, or not Kieran, because Kieran's a different one. One of the Culkins. He was the killer in 4.
4.
Yeah.
Him and
he was like a film student, correct?
Yeah. He was the big dork.
Yeah. Have they done one where they're like on a film set, like shooting a Stab movie?
That's 3.
That is 3. Okay.
They're shooting Stab 3, and because like the director Roman, that is Sidney's half brother, because Sidney's
Jesus Christ.
Sidney's mom died in Scream 1 because she was a whore. She was sleeping with Billy Loomis's dad, caused their relationship to break up. And so he's butthurt. Your mom made my dad leave. And so we killed your mom. We blamed it on, I can't remember his name. Sabretooth from X-Men.
Okay.
You know who I'm talking about.
Sure.
And so it turns, they set that up. But it was, she went to Hollywood, Sydney's mom went to Hollywood as a kid and wanted to be an actress and got abused by a bunch of directors and stuff, and was at like a big party and got raped by a bunch of directors and became pregnant, gave up the baby. That was Roman, who's the killer. When he found his biological mom, she had already started a new life after having Sydney and stuff like that, and said, how dare you move on without me, told Billy Loomis and Stu Macher about it and guided them to become the killer. So he's the great mastermind behind all of it. And so he's in Hollywood. He's making Stab 3, and his dad is like the film producer. And so he's getting revenge on all these people all at once. He's killing off his cast because he's hoping if they kill this movie, the studio will still let him make his own movies. He doesn't want to make this horror crap. He wants to make art.
Gotcha.
So
that was
exhausting. That's a lot. Yeah, I know.
Okay. Well then, yeah, I go back to my original pitch of the next one. There is only Samantha is Ghostface, but she only kills herself.
Yeah.
That's
and that's
no one else dies.
An obvious way to go, because even when Scream 3 was coming out, everyone was the big hype. Who's the killer? Who's the killer? Like, that's all anybody want to talk about. And one of the big thoughts were, it's Sydney. Sydney has broken, and now she's the killer. And it's something just like the Matthew Lillard return. It's always like teased, but they never commit to it. So I could see them for 7 going, fuck it, we got to do it. We already have set up this she's haunted by her father story. We got to kind of pay it off. So I can see it being that. And then people going, oh, it's not a real Scream movie. People didn't really die. It was all in her head. That's fucking dumb. And I could kind of agree, but I don't know where else you go. It really kind of has to either be her, she breaks and does killings, and she pulls the mask off and she's looking at herself in a mirror. I don't know, some dumb thing. It's like Identity did you ever see Identity with John Cusack? And they all have the same birthday, and it turns out they're all just like multiple personalities in a crazy person's head.
No.
Oh my God, it's so dumb. It's like kind of fun and inventive, but so stupid. So yeah, that's probably where they'll go.
Yeah, and my only other thought is like, a lot of these things who are bringing back legacy characters, like, oh, you bring back the legacy character to build hype and give the movie credit, and then you kill them off so they don't, because they're just like, yeah, I'll come back, I'll take a bunch of money, but I'm not fucking coming back for these ones again. Like, kill me off like Harrison Ford, the Star Wars movies or
Yeah.
something. It's like, so do you bring, like, I like that in this one, Courtney Cox's character says, like, Sydney sends her love, but she deserves her happy ending, so
Yeah.
she's staying out of it. Like, I like that line. It's like,
Sure.
it's the Paul Walker thing. It's like, she survived. She survived enough. We're done with her. But it's like, at the same time, it's like, is that like how you, that's the ultimate thing. Like in the final Scream movie, that's how you break the cycle. It all starts with Sydney, and the only reason that this all continues is because Sydney never got. So if I kill Sydney, the Scream franchise ends, and we can all stop talking about this. Like I can see that being sort of a pitch.
But it's kind of a fucked up thing because like she was going to come back for this one. I don't know where they would put her. It's she didn't need to be in this, and I'm glad she wasn't because this is someone else's getting attacked, and you can't just butt in because it's Ghostface. You the people who are butthurt about you, they're done with you. Go and have your happy ending. But she was supposed to come back, but they refused to pay her what she thought she was owed. And this is her franchise, you know?
I am Queens Boulevard.
She really they need to, and I think it probably worked out for the best. We don't need her. The next movie you start, you kill Gail right at the beginning. Maybe you kill her right in that hospital. She's recovering and just boom, get rid of her. And by the end, you kill off Sidney Prescott and just be done with that character. And now the franchise is just open to whatever. Maybe you kill off all of them. Maybe in the next one, you make Sam go nuts. She kills her sister. She kills Sydney. She realizes, I can't believe I've let this happen. She realizes she's pregnant. Oh my God, I can't let this serial killer gene get passed on. And she kills herself. And then everyone's dead. And then Scream 8 is just another fresh reboot in another 10 years. Give time for horror movies to evolve and change and see things and then move on from there. Because even though the Ghostface character, like when you think about it, it's a stupid costume, and like, why would that ever be a serial killer? But it works so well. It's goofy, but still scary, but really dumb, but awesome at the same time. It's just perfect. It's just so simple and great. And his knife doesn't get bigger every time, or he has a chainsaw. It's just a little knife.
He's just a straight psycho.
Yeah.
I don't care enough.
All right, so what are you giving it a rating?
I think if I had seen all the other, like, I don't know if seeing all the other ones would make me like this more or make me like this one less.
Yeah.
Going in blind and having like next to no expectations, it gave me more than I expected, but kind of exactly what I expected. So I'll say C plus, just from the sheer, like, I was entertained, but I think I could see myself giving it a C. But I'll say C, a very low C plus.
Okay, all right. I give this a B.
Okay.
I think this is a solid entry in the Scream franchise. It's a pretty good whodunit, even though I figured it out. So I'm going to say this, my rankings, and some of the topper ones could maybe change.
Oh, so you're ranking all of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
So from lowest. So worst is 3. Then I'd say probably 5. Then 6. Then 2. Then 4. Then 1. And I think 2 and 4 could flop back and forth. I think 2 is such a pure Scream sequel. It does everything so perfectly. But it is one that you can't guess. You don't know the ending to.
And there's no way to get the end?
Yeah, you can maybe guess one of the dudes, like, that guy seems weird. I bet he's a killer. But who the main killer is, there's no clues within the movie to figure out who it is. Okay. That actor shows up, but is just like a news reporter. And there's no reason for you to think this news reporter would be the killer. Where the other, and same with 3 a little bit, but with the others, you could kind of work things out. So yeah, 2 and I love 4. 4 is just like so fresh and it's just excellent. And it's got, you know, Alison Brie in it as kind of a turd. I like when she plays turdy characters. So yeah, 2 and 4, I could flip back and forth, but nothing's going to beat 1. 1's a classic.
Where does Ghostface, not based on the movie, just in terms of just what you like or whatever, where does he rank in the echelon of horror movie icons? It's like him, Jason, Freddy,
Leatherface, Michael Myers,
whatever, Pinhead.
Ghostface is pretty good because even when you have Jason, who has a machete and that should be his weapon, he's pretty inventive with his kills. Freddy has his glove, that should be his weapon, but he's very inventive and doing crazy dreamscape things with his kills.
He's magic.
Yeah, pretty much. And Michael Myers is a simple, silent, masked person who just has a little knife most of the time, but I don't think his kills are all that interesting. They get like more crazy and more like Jason as the movies go on. But I like Ghostface because it's just so simple. It is just, I'm going to put this fucking knife in you. And they get pretty creative. Like we got the mouth, we got the eye, there's been a nose, there's been forehead, there's been through the ear, there's been through the cheek. Like any place you could get stabbed on the face, they put a knife there. And they may not be the bloodiest, the goriest, the craziest kills, but they're really simple, effective, and they look like they hurt. And I think Ghostface is pretty high for his kills, but in most of the movies, he is kind of a bumbling fool. If you run and you just throw a side table behind you, he's going to trip right over that. You run into the kitchen, swing that freezer door open, you're going to knock him in the face. He is a clown, pretty much. But hey, he generally gets his man.
Yeah, it's interesting when you were describing Mike Myers. It's like, oh, it's a guy in a mask with a knife. It's like, oh, okay,
it's a Halloween mask with a knife.
Yeah, so it's Ghostface.
Yep.
But it's like Ghostface is a smart person trying to commit thoughtful crimes, and then there's like a grand scheme to it. And then Mike Myers is just like Frankenstein with a knife.
He's a shark. That's all he is.
So it's interesting. It's like you have two characters that on paper are like pretty similar, but are like two complete opposites to each other.
And this takes place on Halloween, which I thought was kind of interesting because none of the other ones have ever taken place on Halloween, but it wasn't any sort of central feature.
Yeah, it was just an excuse for like a bunch of people
to be in costume.
Yeah.
Which that train sequence was pretty good too.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some good sequences in this movie.
Yeah, I think it would have been fun, especially if you were going the route the people were just like, well, we need to like finish Ghostface.
Okay, we gotta wrap up. My battery's going dead.
Ultimate plan. Like he's this long saying, and so he's like building the cult of Ghostface, and so now there's all these like wannabe killers, just like the Tony Ravioli or whatever, however you say his name. I apologize. Character.
Flash Thompson.
And you have a sequence where like Samantha walks into a crowd and there's just like 50 ghost faces in there, and they're all like, chanting for her death or whatever, and maybe they're like the real killer's hidden in there, maybe there's multiple, maybe they're all killers. Just like it'd be an interesting turn if just like Ghostface becomes so popular and like everyone's questioning like why is the core 4 not dying, and so now there's like just a bunch of killers out there, so now like they can actually kill Ghostface and like pull, it's like, oh, we got it, we don't have to, but then there's another one, then there's another one. It's like, oh well, we'll never beat Ghostface because Ghostface has gotten too big for us to defeat. So is it better if we all just die? But if we die and Ghostface lives on, does Ghostface find new victims? Well, like there could be something they do there.
Or are we giving people an excuse to just put on a mask and kill other people in the name of Ghostface?
Yeah. There's
stuff you could do.
Yeah.
All right. So it'll be Ghostface and like Terrifier, and you get all these and you put them in a saw trap. And that's how you do like they're all fighting for survival, but against each other.
Last question, and then we can wrap up. Has Ghostface Killer ever been featured in the Scream franchise? I assume a song maybe has been used, but like how do you have a guy who's a Ghostface Killer not do something with the real Ghostface Killer?
Yeah, you have a dumb line of like Wu-Tang is playing a concert at the college or whatever, and Ghostface comes up and is like, oh, you're Ghostface? Well, I'm Ghostface Killer. And he goes to stab him, blocks, turns the knife around, and kills him. But no, that hasn't happened. But you know who is in one of the Scream movies? Jay and Silent Bob. As Jay and Silent Bob.
Really?
Scream 3. They're on the back set. They see Gale Weathers. And he's like, hey, Silent Bob, isn't that Connie Chung fella? Or Connie Chung lady? And she flips him off. And then they walk off. It was like some weird New Line thing where they wanted Jay and Silent Bob to just start appearing in other people's movies.
Weird.
It's so bizarre. And Carrie Fisher is in Scream 3. And they even make reference that she looks like Carrie Fisher and she almost got that job on Star Wars, but she wouldn't sleep with George Lucas. It's weird. Scream 3's got some weird stuff in
Well,
it.
I see why 3's, the worst one.
Patrick Warburton's in it. Parker Posey. There's a lot of people in 3.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Whew. Wow.
Next week is
Shazam!
fuck. I don't care.
Yeah, and
I've seen that trailer 800 times.
I know, I'm so sick of
and
it.
each time I see it, I care about this movie less.
Yeah, so you don't have to watch it. I will watch it, but
There's gotta be something else next week.
We were supposed to talk about the Oscars tonight, but we weren't going to fit it in.
So you can talk about Shazam, and we'll talk.
About the Oscars. It'll be a week late. Everyone will be dying to hear about our thoughts about something that's a week old. So that's probably what we're going to do, or something. We got to do another This Meets That. I don't have any in the tank. I don't have any.
We can do it. This Meets That in the Oscars.
Okay.
And you can bring up Shazam, and
I'll mention it in passing. Okay, well, thanks for tuning in. Did you cry for The Last of Us? Did you see it coming? For people who never played the game, was this a satisfying ending? Did you go, yeah, Joel, or did you go, fuck you, Joel? You doomed humanity. Well, let us know at WRPL Podcast on Instagram, Gmail, Twitter, TikTok. And let's see. Anything else? No, I think that's it. So, as always, I'm Ben.
And I'm Steve.
And keep on.
Oh.
I didn't know you were going to do it.
I was hoping to just get in there
just
with
do
you.
it as I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's try it again. As always, I'm Ben.
And I'm Steve.
And
keep on consuming. Sorry, you said keep consuming.
Is it keep consuming or keep on consuming? I'd say just keep consuming.
Keep consuming? All right.
Okay.
Take 3.
Take 3. And as always, I'm Ben.
And I'm Steve.
And keep consuming.
I hate it.
Imagine Bella Thorne as Ellie. Ew!